What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Thursday. It is a thirsty Thursday on the Dan Kasper Show. Appreciate you all tuning in wherever and however you may be tuning in, whether it's on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online, sportstalk1051.com, where you can also get the video stream link up there too. Got your app, you got your Google and Alexa home devices. Bunch of different ways for you to be tuning in on this thirsty Thursday coming at you. Who are you going to give a shout out to on our thirsty Thursday this morning? You can hit us up with those texts 715-830-1912 on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line. If you want to give anybody a little thirsty Thursday shout out, otherwise you can hit me up on Twitter at DANKASPER. Also Facebook.com/Casper Sports. Instagram, whatever. I'm all over the place, just like a youngster out there. What do we got ready for the game plan here this morning? Brewers. If you're waking up this morning, the Brewers are just a half a game back now. Just a half a game back from that final wild card spot. The Cubs helping out the Brewers again last night with a 4-2 victory over the Phillies, and the Brewers taking care of business, a 5-1 victory. Brandon Woodruff. I mean, if you wanted to pick a second half MVP for the Brewers, he would be right up near to the top. If he's not the top, he's got to be right up there, picking up his 13th win of the season, 13-4, lowering that ERA to just a 3.05. He went 6 innings, 5 hits, 10 strikeouts, no earned runs. The Brewers helping him out there with 3 runs in the 8th, too. Devin Williams coming in a little bit earlier in the game in the 7th there, trying to hold it down. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and Brewers get the victory. Now they start a 4-game series with Miami tonight at home. And before that game tonight, Brewers might know if they're tied up with the Phillies or not, because the Phillies and Cubs will wrap up their series today, this afternoon. So the Brewers might know if they're going to be tied up and maybe have a chance to go up a half a game if they get the victory. We'll see. But Brewers have 7 games left. Phillies have 8 left. They got a doubleheader on Saturday against the Nationals. But remember, too, that there's no game 163. I know we kind of keep hitting this home, but Brewers, they don't have that tiebreaker. So, a little bit more help there. Getting close. They're just a half a game back. So, are they actually going to do this thing and sneak in to the postseason? Now, yesterday when it was announced, the lineups, and if it worked, obviously the Brewers won yesterday. But I mean, heading into that game last night, you're 8 games left, you're 1.5 out. And Christian Yelich not in the lineup because, well, just not hitting well. It was like 1 of 26, I believe. I mean, that's obviously for a dude who's getting paid as much as he is and expected to perform at that level. It's like, ooh. But he did get in for a pinch hit. Takes an RBI the easy way with the bases loaded walk. So, yeah, he was available. But still, it's just like, that's supposed to be your guy, right? That's your guy. And you're in a fight to get into a postseason spot and gotta bench him. Oh, not a good feeling. Council did say that there was no health issue, just giving him the day off to try to reset him a little bit for the last 7. I think trying to get the best out of him for just taking a day, a mental reset, and try to get the best out of him for the next 7. He was asked, was it a tough call this late in the stage? No. It's what we had to do, was his response. So, still didn't look good, right? Didn't look good, the greatest, but hey, they got the win. And, they got the win, and hopefully it works, and Yelich can just go on a little hot streak here in these final 7 and go up against his former team and put up a big old number with the batting average and some runs and help out his team and try to get across that finish line into the postseason here. But Cubbies, if you could help us out again this afternoon, that'd be great. If you want to do that, we'd appreciate it. For the Phillies travel to Washington for 4 games this week and 4 games in 3 days. So we'll talk some base. Oh, and then we should also mention too, Aaron Judge hit 61 last night, tying Roger Maris. I want to ask you guys something. Now, this might be a little bit off, but when it comes to home run numbers and career, there's still a lot of people feel Hank Aaron, all-time leader, refuse to acknowledge Barry Bonds. So I just want to throw this out there. Maybe we'll make it a Twitter poll or something like that to kind of get the a feel out there. But if Aaron Judge hits 62, okay, he's tied Maris. If he hits 62, he'll have the AL record. But you kind of look at the guys above him, the Bonds, McGuire's, the Sammy Sosa. If Judge gets 62, is there some of you out there that will acknowledge him as the single season home run leader? Now, it won't officially, obviously, it won't officially, but we do know that there are some fans, some baseball fans out there that won't acknowledge Barry Bonds, that won't acknowledge Mark McGuire or Sammy Sosa. So, is there anybody out there that's listening right now that if Aaron Judge gets 62, would you personally acknowledge him as the home run single season guy? And that's where maybe I'll just make it a Twitter poll. So if you want to remain anonymous, you can out there. But there is people that won't acknowledge Barry Bonds or McGuire and Sosa. So I'm just kind of curious if Judge gets one more, you can acknowledge him, or is it still Bonds in your opinion? Well, think about that for a little bit. No right or wrong answer in this. It's your own opinion. Everybody's got opinions. They're like yesterday's. Everybody's got them. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Also on the game plan, Packers returning to practice yesterday, changing it up a little bit. More of a jog through, which, I mean, not that big of a surprise coming off of that game against Tampa Bay and the Heat and all that. But just about everybody was limited except for Elton Jenkins, who was a DNP with a knee. Caleb Jones was also a DNP with illness. But before Matt LaFleur talked and said that Bakhtiari wasn't going to practice and it was just part of the normal thing, but he was actually listed as a limited participant. So again, just a jog through though. Jair Alexander also listed as a limited participant. He is day by day, according to Matt LaFleur. So Packers back at it. Also Christian Watson did some light practice work too. So, but the one thing, another question, I'm going to throw you guys a couple questions here this morning because I want to get some feedback. I want to get some reaction from you. But obviously, we've got Matt LaFleur talking about Bill Belichick, Aaron Rodgers, talking about Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick talking about Aaron Rodgers, and Bill Belichick talking about the history with Green Bay. I mean, he did give a shout out to Don Hudson and the Cecil Isbell Don Hudson connection in his presser yesterday. So shout out Bill for that. Appreciate it. But do you think there's this, like, how do I want to say it? Because fear might be just too strong of a word, but that might be the best way to say it. Do you think anybody fears going up against a Bill Belichick coach team right now? And I guess maybe this is a different way of asking the whole Belichick or Brady sort of thing. But does it have that aura around it? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, it's a Bill Belichick team. Never know what to expect with a Bill Belichick team. And all jokes aside with cheating and, Spygate and Deflategate and all that, all jokes aside there. But I think are you nervous? I get it. Going up against probably a backup quarterback, even though Bill Belichick said he's not a doctor, he's not an orthopedic person yesterday in his press conference. Obviously, he did not stay at a Holiday Inn and all that sort of stuff. But is there that nervousness, that fear of going up against a Bill Belichick coach team anymore? Is there? Does that give you a little bit of pause? Is that a wild card even with a backup quarterback? And you look at his assistants with Judge and Matt Patricia and such. I mean, you ask a player and you ask a coach, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, it's an idiot." Of course there is. But as a fan, like, do you feel that? Like, I don't know. Is it starting to lose a little bit of that shine? Is it starting to lose a little bit of that luster? I mean, Aaron Rodgers yesterday called Bill Belichick the best coach in history. I'm sure that ruffled some feathers of the Lombardi flock, but Rodgers, that's what he said yesterday in his presser. So, might make that another Twitter question out there too. So we'll get to that when we chat a little football. Fancy footballers out there, in case you're wondering, it sounds like Tua is going to play, and Jalen Waddle is going to play tonight too. So adjust your fantasy football lineups accordingly. Saw that from Tom Pelissero just right before we popped on. But I got an interesting Thursday night game between Bengals and Dolphins. I got another question. I just thought of this one too because I want to throw it out to you. So I got a lot because I want some feedback. I want you guys to text me, tweet, Reddit, Facebook, whatever. But if they end up hosting it Sunday night in Minnesota, Brady, Patrick Mahomes, how many of you would be interested or would hop across the border to go check that game out between Mahomes and Brady, knowing that it's what, hour and a half-ish away? Tickets, I would imagine, is going to be reasonable, even though it is Brady and Mahomes, although they might try to pump it up a little bit initially. But would you go to that thing? Would you go knowing that you don't have you're not a fan of either team, but you're like, you know what, I want to see Brady versus Mahomes? How many of you would go to that? Interested in going to that if they move it? Because I think they're going to decide by tomorrow. Given what's going on down in Florida with the hurricane and such, but Minnesota is the option since the Vikings are over in London playing the Saints on Sunday morning. So would you go to that? Honestly, I'd be interested. It's just a late Sunday night. It works out, and then plus you got a Packer game in the afternoon. Like if the Packers had a noon kickoff, then maybe you can hop on over there. But it's intriguing. It definitely is. It would be. So would you go to a game that you're not a fan of either team? Like, would you go and spend money to attend a game if you're not a fan of any of those teams? Maybe that's the question at hand. How many of you would do that? How many of you have done that? We'll check in with Jake Boakes, our DNR warden, for a little outdoor tidbit. If you got any last second questions for him after, well, now we're a couple weeks into the bow season here, so you can text those on over. We'll get those to Jake about 8:30 this morning. We'll do a little receiver defer around 7:40, 7:45, and as we mentioned, it is a Thirsty Thursday. So if you want to give any shout outs or cheers to anybody, because you're too cheap to go buy them a beer or something like that, you can text those on over, and we'll give them some shout outs in the air. Okay. But let's get things rolling here. Opening drive. Let's talk a little baseball. Brewers, half game. They'll know by the time they play tonight, probably, whether they're going to be tied up or whether there'll be a full game back. It's that weird thing. Brewers got 7 games left. Phillies have 8, so that's why we got a half game here sort of thing, in case anybody's wondering. But they got it done last night, and the Cubbies helped out the Brew Crew again. So are you starting to kind of, maybe if you were checking out a little bit, starting to get drawn back in? Starting to like, oh no, are they going to get in there now? I got to start to pay attention, sort of thing. Where are you at? Let's take that first break, and then coming up on that opening drive, we'll talk some baseball to open up things here this morning. They do it. The Brewers actually sneak in. Who'd have thunk, huh? All right, we'll be back after these words. If you're having any luck in the outdoors this hunting season, don't forget to send us your photos for the Tilden Gun Trophy Board, which is up on our website, sportstalk1051.com. All you got to do is click on the Outdoors tab at our website, and then you can be able to check out all the photos on there and send us your photo to upload there too. So otherwise, you can click on the Nation tab, and it's also available under there too. So whether you're hitting the woods and having some luck, or maybe you're still out on the water, getting some more fishing pictures coming in that we got to add to the trophy board too. So don't forget to send those babies on over for the Tilden Gun trophy board. All right, we've got the 3 questions up on Twitter. So if you want to vote, we got three of them. Count them, 3 different questions coming at you. I'll ask intern over there here in a little bit when we get to these questions. Don't want to jump too far.
Don't tax me too much early.
I know that's it's kind of easing you on in.
Boy, I'll tell you,
it's like an easy beautiful. Par 4.
There's no easy par 4 for me. I'll tell you, this has been beautiful weather, like for bow hunters to get out in the morning. Oh my goodness, it's nice weather.
It is. I'm hoping to get out Friday night and Saturday morning. So hopefully, we'll see.
Well, get out before dark. It'll be a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
Friday night might be
Friday afternoon.
So there you go.
Ish. PM. Friday PM. Afternoon.
There you go.
Let's start things off talking a little baseball here. Brewers officially now just half a game back in the wild card standings. Cubbies doing their best to help out the Brewers. They'll try again for this afternoon. Brewers should know by the time they start their game tonight against Miami whether they are tied with the Phillies or whether it's back to a 1.5 game lead. Again, reminder, Brewers have 7 games left. Phillies have 8. That's why we got this half game kind of lingering out there. Phillies have a doubleheader on Saturday.
And they also have the tiebreaker, don't they?
Yes. So even though if they are tied, it would go to the Phillies. And because, again, there is no 163, game 163 this year. But they're hanging around, as the Counting Crows would like to say in their hit. But first, before we get to the game last night, I kind of made a note on it on Twitter when I first saw it. But Christian Yelich not in the lineup because he's struggling when there's 8 games left and 1.5 back. That's supposed to be your dude. I mean, that's
inexcusable,
right? I mean, and I know they won and all that, and it worked or whatever, but still, it's like, dang, big time guys aren't sitting out when it's a playoff chase like that.
No, I'm telling you what, and he's a mild-mannered guy. I mean, he never talks to the press. You never see him excited or anything like that during a game. But you question his toughness in these tough times, and that's the thing. Is he fighting Craig Counsell, or he just saying, oh, yeah, you're right, I'm not doing well, I'll sit? Or is he saying, I got to play? I don't know what's going on in the clubhouse and how much he's pushing back about not being in the lineup. But you think of some of these guys, the stars, so to speak, and I just think of the old days. I mean, a guy like that on some of these Braves or the older Cardinal teams or the Giants or the Dodgers, you tell them they're not going to play, and they'll tip the clubhouse over.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know about the fire in his belly. I don't question his talent, and it's not showing through this year, obviously. But I question the fire in his belly, and that's maybe what bothers me more than, not up to playing to his salary.
Mm-hmm. One dude who has been stepping it up in the second half, and I think having a very quiet but tremendous year, and really his best season statistically, is Brandon Woodruff, who had another stellar game last night, 10 strikeouts.
4 in a row.
Yeah, he's 13-4 this year, 3.05 ERA. I mean, these are you look at it, that matches. Or I should say, last year was his best ERA at a 2.56, but he was one of those like he was 9-10, weird things there. But the second half, if you pick a second half MVP, if he's not top on that list, he'd be pretty darn close to the top right there. But he went out there and really tried to carry his team on his back and got it done.
Yeah, with these last 7 games, you'd like to see Corbin Burns start tonight and then Woodruff come back and then Corbin Burns come back because the rest of them you can't trust. I mean, Woodruff had a beautiful game last night. I was watching the game. And then they bring in Bush or Beck or whatever his name was.
Yep.
Guy they got from San Diego, right?
No, this was the Texas one.
Oh, this was the Texas.
Yep.
But what does he do the first batter he faces?
Mm-hmm.
Home run, dead center field. And I thought, and then by that time that made it 2-1. And I thought, don't tell me Woodruff is going to pitch another masterpiece, and he's coming out, and these guys are going to come in and blow it again. But then they brought in a credit Counsell for bringing in Williams in the seventh inning and stopping this thing, because you don't want the Cardinals to get on a roll, because they seem to hit so well in American Family Field. And I credit Counsell for making the decision to bring Williams in, because this guy came in and gave up. I mean, in that pitch, even the guy said, you can't miss that pitch. It's right down the middle of the plate, belt high. You know he's going to hit it. Oh, I mean, you just don't throw pitches there. And it was just, I thought, oh, here we go again. But thank goodness they won it. They're a half game behind. They're still alive.
Yeah, still there. And, well, they've got an opportunity going up with, they're all at home. Miami, Arizona, these are winnable series. You still need help.
Yep.
You still need help. But the way the Phillies are playing right now, you got to take advantage of it.
But they've got to find ways to put runners on base. And, that's the thing. They get going, all of a sudden they get beat 2-1 or something like that. I mean, you can't have that now. I mean, you throw it all against the wall and hope some of it sticks. But they got to get more offense, because I don't trust the pitching staff after Corbin Burns and after Woodruff. I just don't, and outside of Williams. And some other guys have been good at times, but not consistent. So you got to put some runs on the board.
Yeah, I totally agree. So if you're looking at the pitching matchups tonight, going for the Brewers is going to be Eric Lauer. He's going to get the start tonight, going up against Garrett from Miami, who's 3-6 with a 3.52 ERA. And Corbin is the next day. Then it's kind of up in the air at this point, which no big surprise, because, you got Hauser on the injured list, which, I don't wish injuries on anybody, but Hauser's the one that makes me really nervous every time he's, starting a game and that sort of thing.
You and me both, because, it's just unbelievable the home run pitches they give up at the wrong times. And so thank goodness that home run, I thought that started the seventh inning with that guy's home run and the substitute or the relief pitcher coming in there for Woodruff. I thought, and I don't know if Woodruff was tired or if he can only pitch 6 innings. I mean, if he's going to be a horse, he's got to go 7 or 8 in some of these tough times.
Or are they kind of thinking 3 days rest?
Well, that's a possibility. Maybe they are. If they're thinking 3-day rest, we'll see. But, I don't think you can. I mean, you're going for it. It's a long winter to rest up. I just want to see Burns and Woodruff on the mound a little more than 6 innings, especially the way he was going last night. Struck out 10, shut out. They weren't hitting him. Because they had been through the lineup 2 or 3 times. And when you don't hit him that many times, you see him, he's better than you are. And he was better than they were last night. Then he came out. Thank goodness they got some timely hits, and Williams came in and put out any potential fire there. But it was starting to smolder for a little bit, and then he stopped it.
Yep. Yeah, I mentioned it at the beginning too, but you're right. Bringing in Devin Williams in the 7th there kind of gave you flashbacks from a few years ago when they bring in Hader, at those points. And it was a little bit easier because you had like Corey Knebel, I think, at the back end that you could still throw out there to get a save and that sort of thing. But
that's what I was thinking last night.
Or Jeremy Jeffries. And,
this shows you how important this game is when he's bringing Williams in the 7th to stop this rally.
Yeah, no doubt. So are you starting to gain a little bit more confidence that they can get? I know last week we kind of like, maybe about 2 or 3.
I'm more excited today than I was last week. I will say that. I'm really, really excited about their chances. I really am.
Yeah, I mean, getting in, be 5th year in a row, which, I mean,
for a small market team like Milwaukee is unheard of. But again, I'm more excited now, obviously, than I was, like I said, a week ago. I was ready to throw in the towel, but now they've hung in there, and so I give them credit.
Got to do it one more time, though, Brewers fans. You do have to cheer for the Cubs today. So 120 is their game.
No, I don't have any trouble cheering for the Cubs. They're when we didn't have a Brewer, or we didn't have a baseball team, between the Braves and when the Brewers came in, I rooted for the Cubs. I don't have a problem with the Cubs.
That'd be a
Wrigley
good
Field's
question.
a beautiful play.
If there was no Brewers, I should think this area would be more Twins. If they were.
I'm a National League guy.
Right. And you're kind of old school. No
yeah,
offense,
well, I was brought up with the Milwaukee Braves and, the Dodgers and the Giants, the Reds, the Cardinals, Pirates, Cincinnati.
But now there's no DH for those younger people. Would they be a little different?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. But I would, if I didn't have the Brewers, I would root for the Cubs. I'd follow the Twins, but I'd root for the Cubs. And I'd root for the Twins. But if you asked me where my first allegiance would be, it would be with the Cubs.
All right. So you really don't like the Cardinals, huh?
Oh, I don't mind.
No,
I respect the Cardinals.
I was talking about yesterday.
The Cardinals.
They could switch a manager every couple of years and still never, it's like
something about the system they've got there that it's in place. St. Louis is the most knowledgeable baseball town in the whole country. They don't support football. They've had football teams. They don't go. They don't support basketball. They got the St. Louis Blues that play hockey. But baseball is St. Louis. For a major town to only have two major sports shows you how important baseball is.
Yep. So speaking of baseball, last night history was tied with Aaron Judge hitting 61. And this is one of our Twitter questions. So log on to your Twitter account there, intern, and you can vote on this. But because there are quite a few people out there who still don't acknowledge Barry Bonds personally as the home run all-time leader, like Bud Selig's one of them. He's...
I'll raise my hand.
The other two. So let me ask you this then. If Aaron Judge hits 62, do you personally recognize him as a single-season record holder?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would, because McGuire, Sosa, Bonds, they use PEDs, and they're illegal in the game. Now, if they were legal in the game, then I'd recognize them. But they're illegal. So you can't do it. It's like, letting the guy run a 100-yard kickout back to win the game, but he ran out of bounds half the way. Well, he still ran 100 yards. Well, no, he didn't. He didn't do it legally. And that's what I'm saying. If PEDs were legal, then Bonds would be the home run champion. No, Hank Aaron is still a home run leader to me.
That's where I'm kind of curious to where everybody's going to go because, a lot of people are talking about the AL record, but I'm kind of curious just because, obviously it's not going to, they still recognize officially in the books Bonds and McGuire, but personally, I'm kind of curious to get where a lot of people are with this thing because you're not really hearing a whole lot about that from that side.
No, you're not, and that's kind of a dichotomy or whatever. They recognize it in the books, but who recognizes it? They don't seem to want to vote these guys into the Hall of Fame.
That's true. Yeah.
So are they recognizing it or are they not? You can't have it both ways as far as I'm concerned. And as long as PEDs are not legally accepted in the game of baseball, those guys' records don't mean anything to me. They were great hitters. I won't take anything away from the great hitters. You got to have great hand-eye coordination to be able to hit the ball coming in at 90, 95, 100 miles an hour. But between being able to put the bat on the ball and how much extra juice you got to propel the ball further with PEDs, that's the question. And as long as it's not accepted in baseball, the writers won't put him in the Hall of Fame. I don't accept him.
And
Aaron Judge hits another one. He's, to me, the all-time season home run leader.
And this is because we got some votes flooding in on our Twitter account. You want to know where it's at? 50-50, which I kind of thought it would be around. No, that's
fine. It's an individual thing.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying personally, how would you recognize that?
And I'm kind of a, old school, respect the hard work and this, that, and the other thing. And that's where I stand. But everybody, it's a great question to ask because you do have both sides of the coin. And are is the people that don't agree with me wrong? No, I'd never say they were wrong.
Yeah.
But I just don't accept it because it's not accepted. Like I said, what other rules in other sports can we bend the rules, so to speak, and change who our leaders are in different categories? I think it's limitless.
I'll be curious to see how this goes. But
I'm surprised a little bit that it's 50-50. I thought it might be a little bit more towards the fact that Judge would be considered the single season home run leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe I would. The one thing I wish, and I'm, I'd kind of like to see like a breakdown. Maybe it's like generationally. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that'd be neat. The age
to
group.
kind of see
how
that.
many old guys like me are saying about that, but
right.
the purists of the game, because
mm-hmm.
You look at a guy like Henry Aaron. You look at his statute. You put him in a lineup with different players, with Ted Kluszewski and Frank Howard and some of these old time guys, and say, okay, which one of these guys hit 740 home runs in their career? And, how many, without knowing it, from the new generation would pick Hank Aaron?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably not. Maybe a couple.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you look at how these guys, Bonds, McGuire, Sosa, how their bodies changed. And it wasn't from it, I'm sure they were in the gym, but their bodies didn't change just from curling an extra 50 pounds a day or something like that.
Right.
So, that's where I'm coming from. I just admire, Roberto Clemente and, all these guys, Stan Musial, Ted Williams, Babe Ruth, he was an anomaly. And, he was a big guy, but let's face it, he wasn't going to be on the cover of Mr. Universe magazine, but they had the skill to do what they did, hit the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm not taking anything away from the skills of Bonds. I think Bonds without the PEDs would have been considered
Hall of Fame, probably.
Right there. Oh, absolutely, Hall of Fame, but right up there with, you and I have talked about Ken Griffey.
Oh, yeah.
Right there with Griffey is one of the best hitters of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think there would be any debate.
So I know we've probably talked about this, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Would you put Bonds in the Hall of Fame right now, given what's everything?
I would. I'd put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame too.
McGuire?
Yeah, I think McGuire would get in. Sosa, don't think I would put in. But McGuire came in as a rookie and hit 52 home runs as a rookie. Yeah. I mean, he had a lot of home runs before he got on the juice. But until they, and if they will, I don't know. But as long as the writers, and they're supposed to be the that kind of wall of, do we get in or do we not get in? As long as they're not putting them in, and there's all kinds of guys like that. You look at Paul Merrill, and and then the pitchers. You got some Clemens and those guys. Do they deserve to be in on their record? Yeah, I think Clemens, before he started using the juice, was a Hall of Famer, and I guess, I don't know. Hall of Fame is a wonderful honor, and if I was in the Hall of Fame, I would say no, I don't want those guys in. But being just a fan of the game, I think they deserve a place somewhere in the Hall of Fame. Now, if that's in the regular hall, I don't know. And, do you keep making little sections say, well, this was during the PED era, these guys get in? So I don't know how. It's an ongoing question that I don't think we'll ever get a definitive answer to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned looking at McGuire's numbers, and it was like, and he had those 93, 94 years with Oakland where he, only played 27 games and 47 games with injuries, and maybe that's where kind of things started off a little bit.
Well, that's what he said. Remember when the writer saw that Andrew Steen Dione on the shelf of his locker, they said, "What do you use that for?" He says, "I use that to heal faster from my injuries. If I take that when I work out, it heals my muscles," or whatever, however he said it. But that's what started the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you kind of look at it, it's like, man, you might be up to 700 or something like that.
Yeah.
Because 49 in 1987, his first full season.
Yeah, I know he was right around 50
the year prior. So,
and I think he had the talent to, whether he would have hit as many as he did, I don't know. But he certainly had the early success in his career.
Right before we got to take a quick break, but we'll take a really quick phone call here this morning. Good morning. Who are we chatting with?
Hey, Central Brad here. How are you guys?
Hey, Brad, how you doing?
Doing well. Hey, I think I'm old school like you, Bob. I think we got to keep him out. There's guys like, well, you're disrespecting Pujols. If he had a little more time where he wasn't injured because he took some PEDs to get back quicker, what records would he have? All these guys that did it right, these guys don't belong in there. It's just my opinion.
No, and I agree with you. I think too, you know, did they bend the rules, Brad, or did they break the rules? The Bonds, McGuire's, the Sosa, the Clements. How do you look at
I
it?
think a couple of them were bending the rules just to try to play the game, like McGuire trying to get back. Like even Braun, he wasn't taking it to get back. He was taking it to try and get a couple more games in. And then some of these guys, I think it just took off from there. And then they were blatantly breaking it because they saw what they could do with it.
Yeah, and but then again, how do you make that subjective decision on, well, McGuire and Braun were trying to heal from injuries. Bonds was trying to get stronger so he could hit more home runs because McGuire and Sosa were taking headlines away from him. Was he breaking the rules or was he bending them too? That's the gray area, and they either got to say
they were they were breaking the rules, and which is to me why you have to have a hard line on it, and they can't be in. Because otherwise, there's so much gray area you could play with. You have to just make the rules, go with it, and that's why baseball I think has a bad look. It's been going on for 30 years now with these guys with PEDs to the cheating Astros that everybody is so upset about. Nobody got a 1 game suspension out of that. Baseball is looking stupid on um, all these decisions they make. They just need to get hard about stuff and have a pure game.
yeah, they've sidestepped a few things, hoping it would go away, but
Mm-hmm.
and maybe Houston, it has gone away by now for them, banging on a garbage can. But thanks, Brad.
Yeah, appreciate the phone call, Brad.
Guys, have a good one.
There you go.
But I mean, banging on a garbage can, the Dodgers are still upset about that World Series, and they got a right to be because they cheated.
Quick update on the poll here. So it has moved to 55.6% say no, they would not personally recognize Aaron Judge as the single season, but it keeps going back and forth here. The other questions for you to ponder. Don't vote yet, Bob, but I'll give them to you right now because I was in a question mood this morning here. This one's based off of like if we do get it, Tampa Bay and Kansas City potentially playing in Minnesota on Sunday night. Would you pay money to attend a game if you weren't a fan of either team? Something like that. Right now, another vote just came in. So 61% of you say yes. Ponder that one for a little bit. And then the third one, when we get to a little Green Bay talk, this one's at 50-50. Do you still quote, fear, or get nervous about a Bill Belichick coached team? And that one's at 50-50. So the rest of you can vote, or if you don't have Twitter, like intern over here, we got to get you on TikTok or something like that, maybe. But if you don't have Twitter, you can text us your votes or Facebook or however you want to go about it. We got to take a quick break though. Coming up, we'll get to some texts here, see what you all have to say, and get some predictions for the Brewers too. Let's hear those. Later on today, around the lunchtime, around noon, we'll be over at High V with myself and our good friend Alex from Wax 104.5. We will blind taste test various items that could be put in a Silver Spring Foods non-GMO horseradish Bloody Mary. It's the Zing Yes Fire Pit Finals. All kinds of great things. Our finalists will be bidding, and how many correct answers Alex and myself will get. The prize is a $100 Hy-Vee gift card and a fire pit. You can come watch the action at noon today at Hy-Vee. So check out some Bloody Marys and that sort of stuff. Always get a kick out of Murph writing promos, as I'm sure you know.
Oh,
Bob. All the capitalizations in certain ones and all that stuff. You could just I can
his English
picture
teacher,
him.
His English teacher at Red Wing High would shudder.
So we got a couple texts to catch up on. One texter saying, if you're linked to PEDs, you are dead to me. We got
I know where his vote is.
Living a Dream Jeff. As for baseball, back in the early 1900s, were baseball players drinking Coke when cocaine was in the drink? Do we know if Maris was taking greenies like many players did, which were also performance enhancing? We know about the steroid and the PEDs, even the bullfrog sunscreen, but there always has been and will be some sort of cheating in baseball. C-Bomb asking, did you see the absolute lack of fans last night in a playoff run? Is Mark Anasio and David Stearns getting what they deserve, make a deflating move like Hader, and turn off the fans? 6 years ago, one game out of a wild card, and that place would have been standing room only. Would you agree with that?
I wasn't paying attention to the crowd last night, so I can't really address that. Anytime you have St. Louis in town or the Cubs, you're going to get a lot of extra fans wearing the opposing team's jersey. So I wasn't aware of, I don't know how many people were in the stands. I know when I went a week ago Sunday, there were 36,000 there. So I don't know how many were there last night, but I would expect for the rest of this season, there should be fans in the stands because this team is in the running.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hope they'd get there.
Mm-hmm.
If I had a chance, I'd go to a game, but my schedule isn't going to work with that because next week we've got World Dairy Expo all week, so I'll be down in Madison. But I would hope fans would be in the stands. But I think too, people are frustrated with the lack of help that they got for this team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Surveyor. Morning, DK and intern Robert. Hope you and everyone is enjoying this beautiful weather. All I'm going to say is if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
I know that's a popular saying, but I'm not sure about putting the actual fact into motion there. I'm not sure how many people do that.
Yeah.
And, and what is cheating,
Right.
It's, I don't know. There are different things that are done that, well, that's just the way they play the game. Other things like taking PEDs, that's cheating.
Yep. So we got a few minutes left to the top. So looking at this game tonight, or let's look at the series with this Miami squad. I think the Brewers can take 3 out of 4 at least.
What is Miami stat? I haven't followed Miami at all. What is their record? Miami has a tendency to find
play spoiler
these great young players. I mean, they had Yelich, they had Giancarlo Stanton. They find all these young players that they can't keep. And why? Because I would think Miami would, well, of course, Miami, everybody's out in the sun running around in a boat rather than going to ball games. But, I would think Miami would be able to keep pretty good teams, but they always have a bunch of good young players on their roster, and they can raise havoc. So I don't know how far out of the picture they are. Because, but I always respect Miami as fielding good teams. They really do.
Right. So,
but the Brewers going to have to win 3 out of 4. I don't think there's any question about it. You don't split series now. You got to win them.
No, I would agree. They got Garrett, who's 3-6 with a 3.52 ERA. Alessandro going tomorrow, who's 14-8 with a 2.32 ERA. Cabrera 6-4 with a 3.15 ERA on Saturday. And then Lopez, 10-10 with a 3.90 ERA. So, I mean,
They're gettable.
solid numbers.
Yeah, they're gettable.
Yeah.
And I think Counsell, I don't know what's going on, and I really don't know the personality of Yelich. What we see, he's quiet, he's calm, and Counsell seems to be the same thing. I mean, we've talked before about, his press conferences are about like Bill Belichick. You get absolutely nothing out of him.
Mm-hmm.
But does he have the personality to pull Christian Yelich aside and say, hey, you got to suck it up and step into it.
Mm-hmm.
You're our team leader here.
Yep.
I can't be sitting you down because of lack of performance. That's just not fair to the rest of the guys.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find a way. And if this guy can't step up in these last 7 games, and if he's not playing, then I really think that says something about him.
Right.
I respect his ability because he's shown how good he can be. But I don't respect if he's not playing in these last 7 games, or he only plays 2 or 3, then I lose a lot of respect for his drive, his guts, so to speak, to put it mild or put it bluntly.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to have the guts to step up there and want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you just, Aaron Rodgers said, well, Aaron, you didn't play very good last week. I think we're going to sit you down. How good will that go over? I mean, you
riots in the streets.
Yeah, exactly. And Rodgers would be leading that riot. You're not sitting me down.
Right.
Yelich has to be the same way.
I agree. All right. Hey, we got 1 in. We got 2 more to go. Hey, if you got any questions for Mr. Jake Bilks coming up at 8:30, Wisconsin DNR Warden, send those babies on over. Okay. We got 1 in, 2 more to go. We'll be back after these quick words. Look at you bobbing your head up and down in there.
Getting with it, baby.
I was gonna don't say that ever again. Oh, second hour kicking off right now. That just threw me for a loop. Holy moly.
I still got to move. I can bust a move every once in a while.
Holy moly. Let's just get it. Second, sports nuggets of the day to kick off this hour. The 1951, the first network football game was televised by CBS TV in color. The game was between the University of California and the University of Pennsylvania. 1957, the New York Giants played their last game at the Polo Grounds. The next year, the Giants were in San Francisco. Let's go with Eva Shane became the first woman to officiate a heavyweight title boxing match. About 70 million people watched Muhammad Ali defeat Ernie Shavers on NBC.
Didn't realize that. Watched it, didn't pay any attention. Don't remember that.
1986, Mary Lou Retton announced that she was quitting gymnastics. 1992, Magic Johnson announced that he was returning to professional basketball. The comeback ended the following November. That's a guy that was like, I mean, he came back, what was it, 96 or something like that too for a little bit. I remember watching that game on my grandma's little TV in one of her spare bedrooms as a kid.
Remember who kind of led the effort among players in the NBA to say, Magic, we really don't want you back because there's so much unknown about it.
Wasn't it Karl Malone?
Yeah, Karl Malone.
The mailman, Karl Malone.
Yep.
I think that's all I got for just some of those sports nuggets of the day, unless I see something else pop up a little bit later on here this morning. So updates on the poll questions here. Let me see if I can bring them up. Where did it go? Okay, I'll find it. Don't worry. Here we go. The three questions that we had out there. If Aaron Judge hits 62, do you personally recognize him as the single season record holder? It's close. 52.9% right now saying no, they wouldn't. But it keeps going back and forth here.
52.9% are cheaters.
Calling them out. Question, that was actually question 2. Question 1, which is a little bit more of a gap here. We'll get to this one in a second. Would you pay money to attend a game where you weren't a fan of either team? 72.2% saying yes. Question 3, do you still, quote, fear or get nervous about a Bill Belichick coach team? 53.8% of you saying yes, you still do. So let's go to the first question. It's kind of based off the Tampa Bay and Kansas City game that's going to be at U.S. Bank Stadium for Sunday Night Football. Now, I feel like probably a lot of Packers fans might not go to because Packers have an afternoon game. If they had a noon game, it'd be really intriguing to kind of hop on over there and check it out. I think for me, it would depend on who's playing.
And how much they're going to charge.
Right. Yeah. Because, I mean, it's Brady and Mahomes and, they're thinking
the stadium will be full.
You think it'll be full?
I think a lot of people will come from Kansas City to Minneapolis. Get on 35 and you're there. I mean, that's not a hard drive. I'll be driving to Kansas City in November. And it's not especially just from Kansas City to Minneapolis. That's an easy drive.
And I kind of want, that because it was supposed to be in Tampa, obviously, and with everything going down there.
This would be like a home game for Kansas City.
That's what I was kind of wondering a little bit.
Be a lot of red in that stadium.
Not the Tampa Bay red either. So.
Oh, no. Yeah. This will be Kansas City. It's an easy drive. And the weather's good, and I expect it's going to be good here. You look at our forecast, there's no rain or anything in the forecast. 60s, 70s, low 70s. It's going to be full of Kansas City Chief fans.
Yep. So, I think for me, a lot of it would depend on who was kind of playing in that game, too. And like you said, too, obviously, price is a big factor in that whole thing, too. But, I mean, if it was like Jets and Giants over there, I don't have an interest in that.
No, I don't either.
But Brady Mahomes.
This is going to be a good game.
Yeah, I would. I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, so. And I don't know if folks from Tampa Bay got out and came north to visit relatives for a week. I think the stadium will be full.
Guess we won't have to hear that Viking horn in there. Unless Tampa Bay wants to borrow it because, Buccaneer kind of calls. Or I don't know. They can't let off any cannons in there, I don't think, though.
No, I don't think they would under the roof.
No. But yeah, well, I'm kind of curious to know if anybody around here is thinking about going. Because I mean, Vikings fans, their team's in London. You get an early game on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
You got nothing else to do. I think they got a marathon. I was reading down in downtown Minneapolis or in the cities. But Vikings fans. But if you got nothing else going on, head on over to your stadium and watch a fairly, what at least on paper should be a good game.
And I don't know what the price of these tickets for these professional football games are anymore. I haven't bought a ticket for a Packer game in a long time. I know the Badgers. I think the game this Saturday is like $100 or something like that, $95 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
So and I think the pros probably charge more than that. So and I appreciate Kansas City and Tampa Bay as good football teams, but there's a limit how much I would pay since they're going to be on TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To answer this texter, no, they have not confirmed the move yet. I think I heard they're supposed to decide by tomorrow. I would think they would have to decide. My brother-in-law is a huge Buccaneers fan. He went to Tampa last weekend for the Packers game, so that'd be a good one.
Yeah,
over there too.
But if they play in Tampa, it's a Tampa home game. If they play in Minneapolis, it's going to be a Kansas City home game. There's no question about that in my mind.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. I wonder if did Tampa Bay get any kind of say? You would think would they get any kind of say? Because I'm trying to remember last year with the Saints. Did they get to pick Jacksonville when they hosted Green Bay for that week? When I just don't know off the top of my head.
I don't know how they do it. I'm sure. Well, they got to find teams that are gone and not going to be using their stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
So Minneapolis is a good destination with a good airport, good roads to get in. So it's an easy choice, I would think.
I saw one person out there saying yesterday, where they should have moved the game since New England's playing in Green Bay.
Oh, wouldn't that have been something?
Right.
Move it back without Belichick there and Brady coming home. Ooh, that would have been interesting.
I think that one would have been sold out for sure.
Oh, I would think so.
Patriot, yeah, I think that would have been them.
But if they play in Minneapolis, I have no question in my mind that Grant's Tomb will be sold out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it'll be good. A good crowd there. So, but
Kansas City fans have to be keeping their fingers crossed,
right?
Because I'll tell you, they go down to Tampa Bay, they're visiting fans.
Mm-hmm.
They go to Minneapolis, they're the home team fans. Even though I don't know which Tampa Bay is considered the home team, but the crowd will say Kansas City is the home team.
I don't, and I've seen the images and all that, but I just, based off what the video and the scary stuff we're seeing, I don't know how they can host a game. But I know some of the stuff that they were talking about is well, if they move the game, actually part of, from what I was reading, part of the thinking too is if they move the game, how much of that loss of funds would affect recovery efforts and that sort of thing too. I guess that's a discussion on.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the infrastructure down there, hotels, restaurants, things like that can be open to serve the fans, because there will be a lot of Kansas City, a lot of out-of-state fans there. But but they've got to make a decision soon, because a lot of technical equipment has to be moved from Tampa Bay to Minneapolis or wherever they come from. These big semis that sit outside these stadiums, you don't move them and set them up in a half an hour. Mm-hmm. It takes days to string cable and do all those sorts of things. So that decision has got to be made sooner rather than later. It's already Thursday.
Yeah I think tomorrow, well, yeah, I think it was DA, the show that was on before this, that said it'd be tomorrow, but I don't know how accurate that is either. So quick text from Big Worm here. Big Worm, I don't have a problem with the steroid users getting into the hall if it wasn't for people like Sosa, Bonds, Clemens, and Big Mac. Baseball would have been so boring. They literally saved baseball in the late 90s, early 2000s. In every sport there is cheating, but they got caught. Is the NFL going to keep Tom Brady out of the hall for Deflategate? Cheating is cheating. Have a good one, Dan and Bob. So
I agree with him.
Mm-hmm.
But Deflategate, that's a clown. Come on, that's crazy. Brady, is that cheating? Deflategate?
I know me with my little hands, I could grip a football a little bit better if it's deflated.
I don't know. You can't compare Deflategate to PEDs, is what I'm saying. So I don't. But again, if they want to put him in the Hall of Fame, put him in, Major League Baseball doesn't control a Hall of Fame. You know, these Hall of Fames are
yeah,
Hall
like
of
the
Fames.
NFL one's not through the NFL.
No, it's Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the NFL Hall of Fame, it's the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And so, you know, they gotta work together. And if they let these writers and have that final decision on who gets in, they're not going to get in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, even if they change the rules, some of these old time writers might still say, I still don't want them in, you know, because they're not apples to apples with the previous generations. Yeah, there was always cheating, greenies. I don't know. I've heard of greenies. I don't know what they are. I don't know. You know, is it the same thing as the PEDs? What is a greenie? I don't know what a greenie is. It just an upper to kind of, you know, wake you up a little bit more, make you more sensory aware of your game, or does it physically change your muscle structure? I don't know what a greenie is.
It's amphetamine, like to fight fatigue and sharpen your focus a little bit.
So does that make it? Is that comparable to the PEDs, which you know, affect your muscle structure? And I you know, I'm not a chemist. I'm not trying to say I am. I'm saying I don't know what the difference between greenies and all these other things are, and are they the same? Are they comparable?
Mm-hmm. I think there was an article a few years ago. Might have been longer than a few years ago. I'd have to find it, but I think it might have been just a blogger, but they were trying to make the case, I think, at that point, that the surgery
LASIK surgery
LASIK was like cheating too. Like, okay, are we getting to this extreme now?
Well, that's what I mean.
You know?
Deflategate and PEDs are two different worlds as far as.
I'll have to see if I can find that again. I remember, I think it might have been 10 years ago already, 10 years ago, but I'm like, oh man.
So is Tommy John surgery, is that, you know, you're tightening up the tendons, you're doing you know, come on.
What if you put like a steel rod in your leg and then you become a machine out there?
I mean, there's a lot of room for discussion here, but you know, you got to have some common sense discussion in this debate because it's a serious debate.
Yeah.
I mean, for these guys to not be in the Hall of Fame, I think if you ask them really and truly, everybody that plays the game wants to play to the best of their ability, but some played to the best of their ability outside the lines. Did they just kind of did they definitive outside the lines, or did they just kind of blur the lines a little bit? You know, you got to have those discussions. And you know, were they aware? Was Bonds, McGuire, Sosa, Clemens, Palmeiro, were they all aware of what these things meant to their performance, or was somebody blowing smoke up their skirt, so to speak, saying, well, it'll just make you a little bit more aware. It shouldn't change your body structure. But we saw it change their body structure. And so I think you got to have serious people with knowledge discuss this. You know, fans over a couple of beers aren't going to solve the problem. But I don't know if they want to address it. They don't seem like they want to address it as far as the Hall of Fame is concerned.
Yeah.
You know, we question whether or not these writers that haven't covered baseball in years that still have votes for the Hall of Fame, if they should be taken off the list, and you let the broadcasters and other people that follow these games more closely, along with the writers that still do it. But the writers aren't as numerous as they used to be. Broadcast has taken over. So, you know, do they need to revise the voting structure as well? There are a lot of things that I think need to be discussed, but I don't know if it'll ever get discussed in any meaningful way.
All right, let's take a quick break here and then switch gears up here a little bit. We're going to chat a little football, give you an update on what the injury report looked like yesterday for the Packers, and based off one of our questions of the day, do you still get nervous or do you still fear a Bill Belichick coached team? And right now, 52.9% of you say you do. Yeah, you still get nervous with a Bill Belichick. Maybe that's Spygate recording on VHS tapes or something like that. Who knows? All right, we'll be back after these words. Looking to get an oil change for your vehicle? Look no further than ASAP Used Auto Parts here in Eau Claire, just right behind the Eau Claire Ale House, across the street from the Dodge over there. Yeah, ASAP Used Auto Parts. Not only do they sell high-quality used auto parts to help save some money in your budget, but you can take your vehicle there for an oil change, get some new tires as well, or maybe get that new battery because before you know it, these colder temperatures will be around to stay and get a little bit colder and might be a little bit harder for your vehicle to get started every morning there. So, but if you're looking to kind of, upgrade get your vehicle ready for winter, head on over to ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire. Surveyor saying that I will never be nervous of a Matt Patricia led offense, talking about whatever role he is with New England. Apparently he is calling the plays over there, but yeah. Quick updates. Still 52.9% of you still fear or get nervous about a Bill Belichick coach team. So I'll ask you that question, Minturn. Are you still nervous about a Bill Belichick coached team?
Normally it would be, but not this year, because I think they're really in a state of flux with not only their player personnel people, but who's on the field, but also, as Surveyor said, with Matt Patricia calling plays, that's not going to be mistaken for some of the outstanding play callers in the league. I just think Belichick's system right now is in a state of flux.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not too worried about it this year, but that's why they play the game, and being at Lambeau this week, I don't think this Mac Jones can play, even though he says day by day or day to day in that press conference.
And he's also not a doctor, he said, or an orthopedic surgeon. Or, he's like, do you want me to look at the MRI? Did you hear that?
Yes, I saw all that. I don't even like to watch him in a press conference because it's like he's trying to make the reporters look stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think he looks stupid because they ask him very legitimate questions that a normal coach answers, and he doesn't.
That's why when they were over the Super Bowl, I wanted to go to just one press conference to see if it was all about what it is on TV. I was too scared to ask a question because I didn't want to be like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the guy's intimidating. He is. He's intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think in those press, I respect him as a coach and what he's done. He's had obviously success that nobody else has. But in these press conferences, the word I use is a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a jerk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of the same. Maybe we're, jinxing it or whatever. But right now with this team, I don't really feel like I'm too nervous. I mean, I think he's still going to try to do what he's always tried to do defensively, which is try to take away your number one or number two option. I mean, there's that story.
But who is that for the Packers?
That's a good question too, and that's something I kind of talked about in our newsletter. So
Devontae Adams isn't there,
right? So
take away Lazard, you take away.
Is it Aaron Jones?
Aaron Jones, you take away. Some of our other running backs. Who do you take away?
Right. I mean, I think that's a very legit question.
Yeah.
I mean, because Aaron Rodgers and all that, but we're talking skill player, like skill position players.
Yeah, you can't take Aaron Rodgers because he's going to handle the ball every snap.
Right.
So he's in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
But who else on that offense? You shut down Allen Lazard. Does that mean you shut down the Packer offense? Not hardly. You shut down Jones. Does that not necessarily? I just think there's too many options out there, and I think I think Aaron Rodgers is getting more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. And because where I was going with that too is that I think it was 30 for 30 with Belichick and Parcells. But if you remember the Giants and Buffalo Bills Super Bowl, he talked about where they just let Thurman Thomas run, but it was because they took out the passing game then. Because I think Bill Parcells was like at first he's like, "What are you nuts?" And like Thurman Thomas was having running lanes, but took out the pass, and who ended up winning the game. But that's something Bill Belichick will go out and try to, sit double teaming a wide receiver or something like that, making other people beat you. But that's a question later. It's like what would be the game plan for this Patriots defense to try to go and shut down who at this point? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it's Aaron Jones if I had to rank him, but he has already proven that he can be effective in both the running and the passing game. So it's not like you can load up the box and all right, Aaron Jones, we're going to stop there. But they've proved that he can do different things. So,
yeah, he's not one-dimensional.
Yeah. exactly. So that's where I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see how it is, but and again, maybe we're kind of kissing our own death here by kind of doubting Belichick here a little bit. But I just with the rot. I mean, with
I don't doubt him. I just think this year he's down.
yeah,
And
and
then
I
his
think a lot of.
quarterback is out. I mean, day by day, I don't see.
Do you think it's an ego thing where he puts Matt Patricia in as an offensive coordinator who's done really nothing in offense? I mean, he was a defensive coordinator back in the day. Then you got Aaron Judge also helping out, and I
Who?
get Aaron Judge or not Aaron Judge, Joe Judge, the former Giants head
Yeah.
coach.
Oh, yeah.
Who's special teams, but I think he helped out with wide receivers and that sort of thing. But he's in the mix with that too. It's like is it an ego thing to kind of go like, yeah, I still, this is my team. I push all the buttons and do all the levers, and I can make anything work and sort of thing.
I think if I'm a New England fan, well, we're going to be down now because Belichick has got to be getting near the end. I don't, he's 70 years old, I think. And I think they're in a state of flux as far as there doesn't seem to be a young coach on this team since
his kid.
Well, yeah, but what's his name went to Oakland, and he hasn't been real successful. Las Vegas, thank you. He's old school, but he went to coach the Raiders, and obviously the Raiders haven't been world beaters yet.
Nope.
So who's on his staff that is logical to take over? And I don't think bringing Judge in, bringing Matt Patricia back, I don't think those guys are being looked at by the management as replacement for Belichick.
And I would be shocked if somehow they would promote his own son to be the head coach.
I don't see that. I didn't even know he was a coach, and then he's a whatever coaching he does. I don't think it's real involved as far as determining the outcomes of games. Assistant defensive coordinator or something like that.
Is
he the defensive coordinator? I don't know.
He's technically the linebackers coach, but there's some people like, well, he kind of calls the plays sort of thing too. It's kind of like Brian Flores when he was there. He was a linebackers coach, but he was calling defensive plays too. So it's one of those Bill Belichick things.
Yeah, and Belichick, of course, is a defensive coach basically. So I'm sure his son is following his footsteps, and because he's his son, he's giving him a little more of a leash than he would somebody else with that kind of coaching experience. I don't know, but I don't think you're going to see New England in the Super Bowl anytime soon.
No, I would agree with that. And I'm kind of looking at the career wins, and I mean, Bill's at 291 right now. Don Shula's at 328. Think you'll ever catch him? He is 70 years old. I did look it up too. Yeah. He is 70 years old. So
I don't know. He'd have to pull a rabbit out of his hat, I think, because I don't think he's going to be 500 this year.
Yeah. Oh man, and then George Halas is at 318. That's at least, depending on what happens this year, then another year on top.
If Brady hadn't left, I'd say yeah. But with Brady gone, I don't think this Mac Jones kid he got from Alabama is any world beater as far as where he stands in the hierarchy of young quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. Heck, Andy Reid's at 235. He's fifth on the all-time wins list. Still 60-some back from Bill, but at least he's got Patrick Mahomes for the next few years where if he wanted to stay around. Yeah. He's 6 years younger than Bill, too.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Andy Reid's had a good career going to Philadelphia and now in Kansas City. And he's fun to watch because, man, having Pat Mahomes helps him a lot. But some of the plays he calls and he's got in his arsenal, they're really creative.
Yep. Yeah. That's one coach, too, that has been around for a long time where you can say he has really adapted with the trends and the times.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect way to say it. He really has.
I mean, how many times? I mean, that was a knock on McCarthy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Legitimate.
Then you see a lot of these old time coaches that just get stuck in their ways or trying to do stuff that, they want to do. But I think you look at what Andy Reid has done over the years, and I think it's clear to say that he's adjusted and he doesn't try to fit a square peg into a round hole.
No, he's coaching to his personnel. He's got the best tight end, pass catching tight end in football. He's got a quarterback to get the ball out of there in 1,000 different ways: underhand, sidearm, overhand, left-handed. you can never, until he's on the ground, you never say a play is over.
Right.
He's just that crafty. Mahomes is,
Mhm.
and to Andy Reid's credit, he's coached that way. He's
Yep.
designed the offense that way.
Yep. Exactly. All right. Let's do a little receiver defer because we got a couple people asking have their receiver defers for you.
All right, go for it.
We got one. So we'll take a quick break here and then we'll get into some receive or defer. Before that, got some movement on the polls. Would you pay money to attend a game where you weren't a fan of either team? That's actually gone down. It's gone down to 62% of you said that you would. If Aaron Judge hits 62, do you personally recognize him as a single season record holder? The keyword personally. That's gone up to 57.8 say no. And then
I can't believe we got so many people around here that
condone cheating, huh?
Thank you for saying that.
The other one, do you still get nervous about a Bill Belichick coach team? That's kind of gone back and forth. 52% say yes. So, all right, quick break, and then we'll do some receive or defer to finish up the second hour after these quick words. Reminder about 8:30 this morning, we'll catch up with Jake Boak. So if you have any questions, we got a couple of them in here, but it's going to be really quick. So if you got a quick question for our Wisconsin DNR warden, Jake, send those babies on over via text 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. All right, let's do a little receiver defer. We'll give Surveyor the honors here. It's kind of an over-under, but I'll make it a receiver defer. Over-under 5 years before Robert actually says the correct city of the Raiders.
I'd go over.
I'll give you credit. I'll say under. How about that?
I get stuck in that.
You know,
I mean, the
what's the
Oakland
worst
Raiders.
one?
I mean, when you watch, Oakland fans are in a world of their own.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got Viking fans dress up like Norwegian Vikings, and
we put cheese on our heads.
Yeah,
so.
But nobody goes to the extremes of the Oakland fans.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Raider fans that show up in Los Vegas rather, are coming from Oakland. I most unbelievable concoction of costumes that you've ever seen.
Yep, I would agree with
and
that.
I think that's from Oakland, not Las Vegas.
San Diego is the one that's going to get me for a while yet.
Yeah, I still call it Los Angeles. Or San Diego, rather.
See, you get it right with Los Angeles.
Mixed up. Even the Clippers.
Yeah. Well, Clippers are still Los Angeles.
They were San Diego.
Right. Well, that's old school there.
I know it.
That's really
old school. I am old school.
All right. You got a receiver defer you want to get to?
Oh, have I got receiver?
Oh boy,
defer.
what do you got?
Now, were you watching the Badger game at all? I mean, after 3 minutes, you knew what the outcome was going to be. But did you watch it at all?
Yeah.
All
unfortunately.
Right. A particular punt that the Badgers had, I'll see if you remember it. Receive or defer. Paul Chryst decision to decline an offside penalty on Ohio State when the ball was on the 4-yard line and go ahead and repunt. He declined that, and instead he gave them the ball on our 38-yard line. Receiver defer, one of the worst decisions ever made by a head coach in the history of football.
Ooh, that's really putting it up there. Holy moly. It was pretty bad, though.
Why don't you take the ball in the – they said, well, it wasn't a good punt. Take the ball in the 9-yard line. An 18-yard punt or a 19-yard punt puts the ball on the 38-yard line. He kicks it 40 or 45. You're at least on the other side of midfield. I mean, the game – it didn't change the game by any means. Mm-hmm. But I think that is absolutely the worst decision I've ever seen a head coach make. I mean, Hackett going for the 64-yard field goal in the first game of the year for Denver against Seattle was not a good call. But this decision by Paul Chryst to give Ohio State the ball on our 38-yard line when he had a chance to get 5 yards out from the 4 to the 9, and you're not backed up so much, smaller field to the end line. I think that. Let me know, folks. Let me know. Am I off the wall on this thing? I think that's the worst decision a head coach has ever made.
So, has I guess the follow-up to this then is, are you starting
he's not in trouble.
Okay. You knew where I was going already.
Yeah, I know where he's going.
Yeah.
I don't like the trend of where Badger football is, but I don't think at this point Paul Chryst is in trouble. But I can't believe it. And that's why I said, did I miss something on that play? But why he declined that 5-yard penalty and didn't repunt and gave them the ball on the 38-yard line, I'm still spitting nails over that decision. I just can't believe a head coach would make that decision. And I didn't see anybody, the game wasn't going to change, obviously. It was in the second half, and the game was over. 5 minutes into the game, you can see where that was going. But I'm just flabbergasted. To this day, I'm flabbergasted by that call.
I know you probably got a couple more, but since we're on Badgers, I have one for you for
Go
Badgers. First, are you going to be there?
Yep.
Receiver defer. Brett Bielema will get a loud ovation of boos upon entering the field.
He'll get booed.
Should he get booed?
He gave the Badgers Russell Wilson and some pretty good teams, but the way he left the program, I think he deserves to be, not received
not
royally.
not the courtesy clap right away and then
No.
booed after that sort of thing.
No, I just Brett Bielema wasn't a favorite of Badger fans. But whether he gets, I don't think it'll be a loud round of boos, but I think he'll hear a few.
Well, I don't want to speak for you, but I can imagine you're not going to do anything.
I'm not going to boo.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
You're not going to cheer though either. You're just going to.
Oh, I'm not going to cheer him.
Yeah,
no, absolutely not. I'm just, he's there. He's coaching his team. He'll be right down in front of me. My tickets are behind the visitor's bench.
Ooh.
Gonna
talk to him during the game.
I just
have his wife tweet.
Oh boy. Yeah. I don't know about that situation, but he's going to be there. He knows Camp Randall. He knows what to expect.
What would happen if Illinois wins on Saturday? It's Bielema. You factor that on, and Illinois, who's 3-1 this year.
There would be some. There would be some backlash.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Just a little or a lot.
Well, I think with what happened at Washington State, what happened with the Ohio State game, since that wasn't, like I said, 5 minutes into that game, it was over. You knew how it was going to end. It was just how brutal it was going to be. And then you put Illinois on top of that with Brett Bielema. Then I think, Chris, he's notorious for not following the media, not listening to what people say. I think he'd better start paying attention if he loses to Illinois.
Yeah, I'll be somebody or Big Worm. Does Chris get fired if Illinois comes in and gets a W?
No, I don't think he gets fired. I mean, if they get beat like they did against Ohio State,
boy,
then there's real trouble. But I just think his personnel was overrated. We talked about that before the season. I didn't know why people thought Wisconsin was going to be as good as they were, because they didn't improve. They didn't get any wide receivers. The offensive line was questionable. They lost top linebackers. Graham Mertz is Graham Mertz. He's not a big-time quarterback. He's a 4-star athlete out of Kansas. If he'd have been in Texas, Pennsylvania, California, I don't think he'd have been a 4-star athlete, because a 4-star recruit, because I don't think he would have been that good against the better competition. Kansas high school football is not that tough competition. So I think he was a 4-star recruit because he was in Kansas, and that's the only reason.
What do you want to go next?
All right, here I've got one. Receive or defer. Albert Pujols would have at least 30 more home runs if he had stayed in St. Louis for his whole career.
Ooh, that's interesting. Because he went to
the Angels in that long term.
Yeah, I'm going to say defer, because at least he could have been DH with the Angels over there. Maybe you just depending on if he would have had a little bit of decline. I might say defer.
No, I'm going to receive that. I think he would have had at least 730 home runs.
Then you're talking
St. Louis
all time.
Yeah, absolutely, you're talking all time.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think if he hadn't gone to...
Is he the best player of the 2000s so far?
I think so. Yeah, I think he's better than Mike Trout.
Easily the best player, in my opinion, from 2000 to 2011.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's, But I was thinking about that the other day. Best player of the 2000s so far.
Yeah, I think it goes without saying. Here's one that's really off the wall, but it's stuck in my mind.
This is the only one that's off the wall?
Well, in the last 2 minutes. But I saw this on a commercial. Reggie Bush, when he was presented this prize hamburger sandwich or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Receiver defer with what's going on now with the NIL, college sports. Receiver defer. Reggie Bush should get his Heisman Trophy back.
Well, he's trying.
Is he?
Yeah, they're trying. But yeah, why not?
I don't have a problem with it, giving it back to him with what's been going on in college football. The only problem I have with it is the fact NIL is for name, image, and likeness of these guys. But what he and his family did, they got a house.
Yeah.
And it was not for him. It was for his mother and stepfather, mother and dad. I don't know what it was. That's the only concern. How far does and should NIL go? Should it go to that point of, giving the family a house?
Yeah.
That's the only question I have. It's like the Wild West out there almost now with these guys where they're signing them to contracts that aren't just say you get a free scholarship and a 5th year of eligibility and a 5th year post competitive scholarship for your education, this, that, and the other thing. That's what they used to sign. Now with these NIL, how many millions of dollars are you going to give me to come to your school besides my scholarship? And that's me as the athlete, not my family. That's the only gray area for me, I think, and if they gave it back to him, it wouldn't bother me. But the only gray area would be this was his family. Not him.
It's interesting timing that you kind of bring that up, because just recently he was on a podcast talking about that issue, and he according to Reggie Bush, the incident that led to the NCAA investigation and eventual penalties levied on the school and on Bush was not due to improper benefits, but out of necessity. His version of events is that his parents were forced out of their town home because the landlord wasn't paying the mortgage. That's when a family friend stepped up and helped them move into the house. Bush said the NCAA doesn't know that piece of information right now. Instead, they claimed it was part of a name, image, and likeness type of agreement that was outlawed at that time.
Yeah, and I don't know the details of it. All I know is what I saw was and read and heard that his family had gotten a house. Who it came from, was it a booster or whatever? I don't know that, or family friend. But, I think the NCAA was way too restrictive beforehand with these guys and gals that were on scholarship, and what it really limited them to. Their mother died. They couldn't take money to fly home. Well, if they come to Wisconsin from California or Georgia or wherever they might come from, or vice versa, that's cruel.
Hey, really quick, I do have a receiver defer, but Schefter just tweeted this about Jonathan Taylor. An Ironman streak quietly came to an end yesterday when Jonathan Taylor missed his first football practice due to a toe injury. Until Wednesday, Taylor never missed a practice at Salem High School in New Jersey, at Wisconsin, or at Indianapolis.
Ooh, that's unbelievable.
Right?
Yeah.
Not one practice.
That's the love of the game.
And he was in track too.
Boy, that's a love of the game. I remember
holy moly.
We were in high school. We used to, those summer practices before school started, we used to count them down on the calendar. One more of those over with.
But that's a cool little nugget right there.
That really is. Really is. Kudos to him.
Yep. All right, receiver defer. If you catch Aaron Judge's 62, are you going to hold that thing hostage for as much moolah or swag or whatever as possible? Or are you going to be a stand-up citizen and just donate it back?
Donate might not be the word. I would not keep it. I would not keep it. And I would donate it. I'd give it back to him, but I'd want an autographed bat and an autographed ball. I wouldn't hold him up for something outrageous.
Right.
But that's all I would ask, and that's usually kind of the things they gave him. And maybe if I want to come to New York next summer, could you get me tickets for a series at Yankee Stadium, something like that?
Put me up at the Plaza too, or something.
Well, that I don't know about that, but I would not hold it. No, I wouldn't keep it. I don't think that's what would I do with it. I couldn't display it, and I wouldn't give it to the Hall of Fame. I'd give it back to him.
And then he can do whatever.
And he can do with what he wants. Just that I would ask could I get you an autographed ball and a picture and an autographed bat? That's all I would want.
So some autographed memorabilia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe
an autographed jersey, game jersey.
But you guys got an extra Babe Ruth jersey lying around somewhere that
no, just Aaron Judge memorabilia. That's all I'd want. But I'd give it back to him. I wouldn't hold it at all.
Yeah, I as much as I would love thousands of dollars paid to me and all that. I mean, I'm a sucker for sports history. So
am I.
That's where I'd rather see it go to.
And what kind of conversation would people have about you or me or whoever got that ball and kept it? That's selfish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you imagine? I mean, that's the scary part, though, too. Like, I know everybody wants to catch it, but depending on where you're sitting in the outfield, that's going to be like a scary situation when that ball goes over there and that run to get it.
Did you see the guy last night?
The bullpen catcher?
No, the
Oh,
guy that stands that tried to catch the ball. He had it in his glove and he dropped it, and he sat there. I thought he was going to commit suicide. He was so dejected out there, and frustrated and everything. He pointed, "I had my glove," and I felt sorry for the guy, but then it went down into the bullpen. But the 62 is going to be a scramble.
So the funny thing, the bullpen catcher for Toronto ended up getting it, but he's actually married to Sarah Walsh, who's a reporter for the NFL Network. The bullpen catcher is, and she saw this, and she was tweeting about it, and she's like, bad news is I'm down here in Florida battling a hurricane, but the good news is I can announce my retirement because her husband got that baseball. And then she posted a picture. Oh, cool. He just handed that back without checking to see if our house is still here. I'd like to announce our divorce.
So have fun with it. There's nothing wrong with
that. She was having fun with it.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
That sort of thing.
And I think don't you think that's what most people would do?
Yeah, I would think so. Who was the college kid like a couple weeks ago gave it back? And I mean, it was a college kid. He's like, no, I want you to pay for my tuition. Was it a judge ball or was it one of the pools? But one of those home run balls. I think it was one of the judge balls. But it's because I think the person who got the 700 one ended up leaving the stadium with the ball. I don't know if they got it back yet. I'll have to double check. But
wow,
like, man, I don't think
was that. He hit it in St. Louis.
No, he hit it in L.A.
Oh, he hit it in L.A. Well, he played for the Dodgers there for a year.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody's different, but I think I know I'd give it back to him.
Mm-hmm. I would too. So, all right, 2 in, 1 more to go. We'll kick off the next hour doing some Thirsty Thursdays. If you want to do a toast or anything like that, send those babies on over, okay? Then we got Jake Bolks coming up at 8:30 for a very quick outdoor tidbit. All right, final hour on this Thursday, coming at you the final Thursday of September as well. What do we got? September 29th. Appreciate you all tuning in, however you're tuning in. Who do you want to give a shout out to there, intern? You want to give a shout out to anybody? A little Thursday shout out to anybody?
No, let me think about it. I haven't thought much about it, but I'll come up with somebody.
All right. Somebody or something.
You bet.
Potentially out there. So the rest of you can let us know. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Brewers back in action tonight, going up against Miami, just a half a game back. Is your confidence level starting to increase out there, Brewers fans? Are you feeling better now than what you were just a few days ago? Or are you refusing to maybe get caught up in the excitement or the hype just because you don't want to be potentially let down later on?
If you
Like you're a fan, you're used to it,
I'm
the
gonna
ups and
say,
downs.
as
And all.
long as I've been around rooting for the Packers in the 70s and the 80s and rooting for the Bucks and Badgers, I went through some pretty long seasons. So I'm ready for the Brewers. I'll be rooting for them right till the end. And hopefully the end won't be for a long time.
Right. Yeah, same here. Speaking of Bucks, their preseason starts on Saturday.
Does it already?
Yeah, first game Saturday. Regular season will be a couple weeks after that, but it's kind of getting to that time. We know Chris Middleton's going to be missing the opener, at least recovering from that wrist surgery. But kind of factoring in everything else that's going on in the Eastern Conference, Celtics won't have their head coach for a full year.
They've never really have they said what he did?
Well, he had relations with some female staff members.
Is he a married guy or
he's engaged? I believe
he was engaged.
Yeah, but it's against Celtics, policy and that. So they
most teams have that kind of a policy.
So kind of looking. Do you think the Bucks did enough this offseason to still contend for the championship? Did they have to do a whole lot, in your opinion?
I don't know what they could do. Giannis is such a interesting player. You can't pigeonhole him into, like Anthony Davis for the Lakers. He's a 5 or, he's going to be, that's what he does. Giannis plays outside, inside, what kind of guy can you pick up to help that team? And, I don't know if I was a general manager, what I could have done to improve that team more. They made a few moves, which I think will be okay. But I think they've got a shot with if Middleton can come back and be a scorer like he needs to be. I think they've got a pretty good shot at it again.
I think the one thing that I want to see a jump in and a jump in just performance, but also consistency is Grayson Allen this year. Just kind of being more of a consistent threat from behind the arc. Assuming he's going to be the starting 2 guard again this year. I just, because especially when the playoffs started, Milton was out. Who was that next guy to kind of step up?
He kind of lost. He'd be up there and then he'd lose his momentum for a while. Then he'd come back. I think you're right. He's got to be consistently better, not consistent, but consistently better than what he was last year. He had flashes, but I think he's got to be more consistent at that level. I agree with you.
Yep. That'd be the one thing I'm looking at. And I mean, you look at their depth chart, they kind of ran it back with bringing back a lot of guys. Yes, they brought in Inglis, the 3-point shooter from Utah over there, but George Hill's back, Carter's back, Serge Ibaka's back. Then you kind of get into like, well, what's rotation look like? I think at least at the beginning part of the season, you're going to see more of a rotation just to keep guys fresher. Because remember, Giannis was playing overseas for a little bit there too. So you don't want to overtax him right away at the beginning of the year. So get your 20, 25, 30 minutes in or something like that. But then at the end of the season, you might see that rotation tighten up a little bit more.
Yeah, that's what usually happens. And then when they get to the playoffs, it's a real tight rotation. But I think would I say they're top? No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, they got some work to do. They got the ability to win the title. But right now, I'm kind of scratching my head wondering if they can, with what Brooklyn has done, bringing back Kyrie Irving and KD. I just, I don't know.
Switching gears here. Here's an interesting little nugget I just came across. The Associated Press is mulling changes to the way its 50 voters ultimately choose the NFL's MVP player. For years, voters have submitted one name and one name only for the league's top on-field award. Remember, these awards aren't through the NFL; they're like the AP and all that. But the AP's award has long been considered the true NFL MVP award, even though Sporting News does one, the Football Writers Association does one, but the AP has kind of been like the number one that we see the award ceremony for, and all that. So, but what the plan apparently is going to do, it sounds like ranked choice would give voters more flexibility and a greater voice in the results, though it's unclear if their ballots would finally be made public. It would also get more players involved in the MVP voting. So it's kind of it would look so just kind of reading on the fly here a little bit. It
The
I don't
one
know,
thing
like
I would like to see how this would work. One thing I would like to see in college for the Heisman as well as in the pros for the MVP, I would like to see the defensive players have more of a chance
yeah.
to become the MVP or to win the Heisman Trophy. Because now, let's face it, we've had J.J. Watt, Reggie White, over the years, Lawrence Taylor. You tell me they weren't the most valuable players in the league?
Yeah.
Quarterbacks have an inside shot at this all the time.
Yeah. AP is considering a ranked choice voting for MVP, a system where voters rank multiple candidates by preference. So you kind of get that, then like you got four, you guys know what that is. So, but would that change a whole lot though? Would you think it would change a lot if they did a ranked thing like that? Would somebody go out there and say like, well, Aaron Donald, I'm going to rank him higher than like Patrick Mahomes or whatever out there? Do you think it would change results a lot, or do you think it'd still go favor the quarterbacks mostly?
Well, I don't know if it'll change the mentality a lot, but I think at least they'd have a shot at it.
Mhm.
I don't think now with just one name, I don't think they've got a shot at it. But Aaron Donald, he's been deserving too over the last few years, and I don't think they get enough recognition and enough chance to be named the NFL's most valuable player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says at this point it's unclear how many candidates voters would be able to rank, and it's also not known how many points would be assigned to those rankings. So,
yeah, I think over the years, you think
so it's kind of like a Heisman if you think about it a little bit, where they've got
they rank them,
the points there.
And like I said, I'd like to see something where the defensive players have more of a chance. Whether this would do that, I don't know, because it doesn't happen. It doesn't do it for the Heisman Award. Let's face it.
Yeah.
But I don't think defensive players can stand out as much in college as they do in the pros. In the pros, they really stand out. They really do. In college, there's not enough exposure, I think, for a lot of these defensive players, because let's face it, the NFL is a 7-day-a-week program.
Mm-hmm.
College football is Saturday and early Sunday. That's it for college football.
Mm-hmm.
On the major networks, the Foxes, the ESPNs, and the rest of them. But you look at how many NFL programs they have, not only on the weekend, but during the week. They're still talking today about last week's games, and then they'll start talking about this week's games. They don't do that. I mean, Big Ten Network, yeah, they'll focus on it, but that's just one conference. But I just don't think college gets the exposure, and the defensive players don't get the exposures that they do in the NFL, just because they got so much time on their hands to broadcast. They've got to mix it up a little bit, and these defensive players get a little more recognition.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of turned into a little political too. I mean, you've got players that, or schools that will, kind of fund some money to marketing and campaigning for a player, that sort of thing too. It's kind of turned into that a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at, I'm sure Ohio State, I'm sure Alabama, some of these schools, they designate so many dollars for a Heisman promotion for Stroud or whoever the candidate may be. And that happened. I mean, Wisconsin did it with Ron Dane. They had a campaign to get him out there with Jonathan Taylor and the rest of them, the Heisman Award to get him out there and let more people be aware, because people on the West Coast, they don't necessarily see the Big Ten,
right?
And so it's just
not yet now.
No, well, yeah, but it will happen. But for the pros, you've only got 32 teams. You only got 16 games. It's easy to follow 16 games, especially with all the pre and post game breakdowns and evaluations that they have. You can't get away from it. In the college, they don't have near that much exposure.
Right. Yeah. So, NFL is a changing, man. If they're going to do that, the Pro Bowl is going to be completely different now too. So you heard about that, right?
Yeah, I heard about that. And who cares? I mean, I don't want to watch these guys throw a ball through a tire. I could care less.
Oh, I do.
Oh, you like preseason football too? You think that means
I want to
something
see.
too?
I want to, these big old targets that are on a golf cart moving and trying to. I want to see the old guys do it. I don't want to see the current ones. I want to see the legends come back and see if they still got it.
Well, that would be more fun. But and I can understand. You giving these guys an extra game in a Pro Bowl game, and if they're going to play a competitive game, there's a chance of getting hurt. They make too much money now. You just can't do it.
I did see Ian Rappaport from the NFL Network say the other day too that linemen will have a role in this, because people are like, we're doing flag football and all that. How you offensive linemen? Apparently they've got a plan about offensive linemen, and that's I don't know what it is, but the first year I think you'll get a lot of attention. You got Peyton Manning on it. It's the second year now. How do you build upon that second year?
Well, if they're going to have flag football, let's have flag football for the quarterbacks and the receivers. Then let's have flag football for the linemen and the linebackers. Make a linebacker a quarterback. I think that would be fun. Watch these guys. Give them a chance to shine. These guys are athletes.
Yeah.
They might be big, but you get the linebackers as receivers, and some of the maybe a tackle, maybe Bakhtiari could be the quarterback. I think some of those things would be more fun than because then they're out of their element a little bit. And I don't want to watch the quarterbacks play flag football 7-on-7. That's not fun. The defensive backs don't have a chance. I'd like to see, some of those types of things that would be kind of more fun to watch these linemen go downfield and bust a move on another lineman who's trying to guard him on a pass play. I think that would be more fun than skills contests throwing through a tire or who can run the fastest 40 or 100.
Unless they raced a horse.
Yeah.
If they put out there like a horse or a cheetah.
Yeah, well,
kind of that sort of thing.
Well, I'll tell you, I think for a 40-yard dash, most of these guys would outrun a horse.
You think so? I know Chad Johnson or Chad Ochocinco did that or wanted to do that.
Yeah.
So I want to see that.
Depends on the distance. It depends on it. That's why they call a quarter horse. Fastest horse for a quarter mile. Now you don't want to race a quarter horse, but 40-yard dash or I don't know if they could win 100-yard dash against a horse. It'd be interesting. Some of those things would be fun, out of the ordinary, but just to have a skills contest.
Well, because they're doing non-football skills too, they said. I don't know what that is.
What's a bake a cake, or what does that mean?
Beer pong.
Oh boy.
I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. I think they should play tailgate games like we have to play before we go watch them. Play a little bags, play a little ladder golf. I'm kidding, because you're giving me a look.
No, I don't think you should take anything off the table. I just think if they're going to get rid of the Pro Bowl, which I have no problem with, they're going to do a skills contest. They're football players, so you want them to do football skills type of things, but maybe a little out of their element. Like I said, I'd like to see the linemen have a chance to handle the football a little bit on 7-on-7 or something. I don't know what it would be, but you got to make it interesting, because right now I don't think you're going to get much of an audience, because this is what pays their pensions, a lot of it, and their medical was at Pro Bowl. Because of TV rights and the rest of it, they lose the TV rights. They lose a gate admission for some of these things. That's a lot of money gone. So they got to come up with something that's creative, that's going to be worth televising, and worth getting a crowd into a stadium
Well, it'll be in, I think they said Vegas this year.
in Vegas, wherever it will be. That's a good place to have it because those are the kind of people that would go to that. They're out there
Play a little blackjack, see who would win. And
there
all
you
that,
go. Have the NFL blackjack champion. There you go.
I want to see these like big offensive linemen maybe play hockey or something like that too. Play a different sport.
Yeah. I don't think it would be hockey. There's too much chance to.
Pickleball is getting to be big now.
Yeah.
You got LeBron investing apparently, and Gronk is playing pickleball or something.
Well, I'd like to have a slam dunk contest with the offensive lineman.
Then you got busted knees and all
well, I mean,
stuff
at a 9-foot basket or something like that.
Yeah, LeBron is buying a pickleball team. Can you believe that? A pro pickleball team.
Out of pocket change. It's not like it's any kind of an effort for him to do that, but he's promoting some of these other things and good for him. He does a lot with his money. That school in Akron, what he has put together, that's remarkable what he's done for that. So LeBron's done a lot of good things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've never played pickleball. Have you?
Yeah.
Is it as fun as everybody's making it sound?
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Yeah.
It's like tennis and ping pong or something.
Yeah,
isn't
it is. It's
something like that.
It's kind of fun. Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to try it out.
You're not old enough.
Well, Gronk is playing it.
Well, Gronk is.
Can you imagine if you are and you go to a pickleball court and standing across you is Gronk waiting to play you in pickleball?
I'll bet he has more fun. He has fun doing everything he does, and I'll bet he has a ball doing it.
Yeah, there's like videos out there. I mean, this big old 6'6", 275 dude that's still in his 30s playing pickleball.
Yeah,
I don't want to.
No, pickleball leagues are getting a lot of leagues, and it started out in some of the retirement communities, but boy, it's spread, and there are a lot of younger people playing pickleball. It can be pretty competitive.
I'm watching a really quick video. Somebody just lobbed it to like Gronk. I mean, he just like spiked that thing like it was volleyball. Holy cow. I'd be scared
Popular
for my
game.
life, man. All right, let's take a quick break, and Jake Bulks is going to be hopping on for just a couple minutes. If you got a question, send those babies on over right now. This is your last call. So we'll do a quick outdoor tidbit, then we'll get back to some more Brewers chat as well. So quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Online inventory and application at AutoKingEC.com.
Thinking about buying or building a home this year? Hi, I'm Ben from Merchants Bank. When you work with us, you have the support of the whole Merchants team. We share your home dreams and we'll do everything we can to see you reach your goal of a new home. And that starts by making things easy, like being able to apply for your mortgage when it fits your schedule. I'm just a phone call or email away to answer your questions. Start now at merchantsbank.com and let's achieve your goals together. Equal housing lender, subject to approval.
It's hunting season, people. You've made it through winter, spring, if you think we actually get a spring, and summer to get to this point. Fall here in Wisconsin is spectacular. Whether you're doing some geese, duck, or bird hunting and you're looking for that new shotgun, Tilden Gun is your place to go because they will help you find just exactly what you're looking for. That's what they did for me when I was looking for one. They helped me find the perfect shotgun that I was looking for turkey hunting. Or maybe you're still waiting for deer season and you need that rifle come November. Well, Tilden Gun can help you find that perfect deer rifle as well because, they did that for me too. Welcome to hunting season, everyone. Make sure you're prepared for this season with the help from Tilden Gun. You can start off by visiting Tilden Gun's website at tildengun.com, where you can check out their amazing selection and even better prices. Nobody can match what Tilden Gun can provide for you. Tilden Gun is located at 12427 98th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. For many of us, our summer road trips are in the books, and hopefully it was a great year for some adventures for you. Now we're hitting the roads, taking our kids to school, ball practice, events, and games. So making sure your vehicle is still operating at its best is still crucial. This is a busy time for parents. So when it comes to figuring out where to get that oil changed or putting on some new tires, ASAP Used Auto Parts has you covered. Need a battery replaced? Hey, they got you covered there as well. Or how about a replacement part for your vehicle? Well, save money with ASAP's huge selection of high-quality used auto parts. We all try to make sure that we can get and stay on the road safely without emptying our wallet. With the help from ASAP Used Auto Parts, we can. Visit ASAP Used Auto Parts today at 1330 Menominee Street in Eau Claire. Save money without sacrificing quality and service. That's ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire.
What's the special today?
Well, I've got half-price geofencing with a side of SEO, double bubble on all PPC, and 50% off all OTT CTV contracts.
Sound familiar when you were looking for marketing options? Are vendors selling you their tactics rather than your solutions? Then let the marketing mixologists at Midwest Family Eau Claire come to the rescue. Midwest Family Eau Claire isn't about hitting their sales quotas. They're about helping you hit yours. Go to MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com today and find out how their integrated marketing solutions make just the right marketing cocktail for you. MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com.
This update sponsored by UW Credit Union. For every stage of life, UW Credit Union is here for every you. Keep up with the Crew all season long by following the Brewers on social media. Get exclusive content, videos, news updates, and more. To follow the Crew, look for @Brewers on your favorite channels, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Join UW Credit Union at uwcu.org.
I'm Rocky Moselle with StarRegistry.com. Since we were children, we've been told to reach for the stars. It was great advice. Now it's a great gift. Name a star after someone. For $54 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com, we will name a star after someone very special to you and send an incredible personalized gift. The new star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com for the hottest gift.
Because you have high standards and won't settle for anything less, like your wife did. It's the Dan Kasper Show.
Quick scheduling note, the Blue Gold football game that you would normally hear here on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM, you're going to hear on our sister station, 95 at 9 and 1500 AM, because we got Brewers also playing Saturday night too. So the Blue Gold football game will be on our sister station, 95.9 JMs, also 1150 over there, the AM signal, if you want to check it out there too. Quick scoreboard. I know there was a busy night for the Blue Goals last night. Volleyball got the win. Women's soccer got the win. Men's soccer got the win. So a nice little 3-sweep for the Blue Goals. All right, let's do our outdoor tidbits with the man himself, Mr. Jake Bolks, Wisconsin Conservation Warden. What up, Jake? How's the first couple weeks of bow season been like for you guys?
It's going pretty good. There's a lot of good deer already being shot this season, and it's been a fun couple first weeks.
Awesome. Good deal. Hey, we got a couple questions to get to here if you're ready to go here, sir.
Yeah.
All right. So the first one, what are the laws pertaining to e-bikes being used on public land and county forest logging roads, specifically in Chippewa County?
So that's kind of, I don't want to say a loaded question, but there's a lot of potential answers to that. The simple answer is that whatever property you want to ride the e-bike on, you have to either Google it and read their regulations with it, or contact whoever manages that property and ask them about it, because state parks, state trails, county forests, they're all managed by different entities, different departments, and different park managers or property managers, and they all have their own rules regarding them. So it's kind of a little bit of a labor-intensive thing because they're still a newer thing, so there's not like a general consensus on what you can do, what you can't do. Everyone kind of still has their own rules on it. Like, for example, for the state, I'm reading like kind of off our state website right now, dnr.wisconsin.gov, it says electric bikes are allowed on some trails, but they got to be 15 miles an hour. Other trails are not allowed, and it goes on and on. But it's just kind of like you got to check with that property manager. So when it comes to Chippewa County logging roads, you got to call the Chippewa County Land and Conservation Department and ask them about it.
So is as e-bikes, as you kind of mentioned, still kind of new here. I know like boats and ATVs, you got to register with the DNR. Is that like that for e-bikes right now, or no?
Nope, nothing like that. As far as when it comes to the state doesn't regulate e-bikes. They just kind of regulate whether they're allowed on their property. There's on some properties you're allowed to operate them, but you can't utilize the electronic feature of it. You're supposed to just ride it like a regular bike. So it really is kind of like property specific. So I know that's not a great answer, but it's the answer, unfortunately.
Gotcha. One question I know you've gotten a couple times, is like drones and all that sort of stuff. And Jake from State Farm with a text here asking, there was he saw something on Facebook about I'm assuming a couple guys or something like that using a thermal drone in the process of finding a dead deer. What's the legality of that? He's wondering.
The legality is that it is illegal, and there's documentation on it, and we have guidance. And I think we talked about it a little bit on one of the shows a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. But the short answer is utilizing a drone or a thermal drone for anything hunting related, scouting related is illegal. Whether it's considered part of the act of hunting or whether it's considered harassing wildlife in some fashion, it's illegal. So what I'm telling everybody is just stay clear of them from now for using them on any part of your hunt, because I would hate someone to track down a state record buck or something and then, post a video of them using a drone and then it being seized because of legality reasons. Until the kinks are worked out with it more, until something changes with the legislative and the state statutes, I'm encouraging everyone just to not use drones when it comes to any sort of hunting.
All right, good stuff.
Because it's illegal.
Right.
And I think I saw that on the Rut Report about the conversation they're having about it, because there are people across the state offering like guide services almost for like tracking your deer.
Yeah.
Technically, they're in violation if they're doing that, and technically, if you're utilizing them to find your deer, you're going to be in violation.
Okay, because that was kind of the second part of Jake's question. He said, because I noticed the guys had a flyer up for their drone services, so they're in violation of that then.
It's a business, so we can't say, you can't operate a business, but if their business ends up with them in the woods with a drone tracking a deer, then that changes it. But, anyone can vote a flyer for anything else until they engage in the act of it.
Gotcha.
So the best question would be if like that person happens to be listening or someone has more questions, call your local warden and talk with them, and we can read you our laws and guidance on the subject so everyone can understand the exact verbiage and stuff with it.
Bob, you're not feeding any more deer in the backyard with your bird feeder, are you? No.
No. The bird feeder is empty. I've gotten completely away from that. No.
I swung by there the other day, Bob, and took a look, and he looked I'm kidding.
Oh, that's good. I'm in compliance.
And that's the one thing, I never want to take that away from people in the sense of like if they're listening. I feed my birds here where I live and everything, and I think it's awesome. It's a great thing to do is feed small game, feed birds. I never want to have people fear that they can't do it because it's totally legal. The only thing is just make sure, if you're putting it on the ground or something that is just inaccessible to deer. That's the only thing with feeding the animals that I want to make sure people understand.
Good stuff right there. Jake, hey, we always appreciate the time every Thursday with you, buddy. And I know we had some good questions today, so thank you for answering that. And let's do this again next week. Okay, bud?
Definitely. That sounds great. And I can't remember. I just want to make a quick shout out that the youth gun deer season is almost upon us. So anyone hunting the first week in October, got to just make sure they wear their blaze orange. That includes bow hunters and such.
That's coming up quick already. So good reminder. Thanks, Jake, for that, bud.
Yep. Have a good one, guys.
You too. There you go. Wisconsin Conservation Warden, Mr. Jake Boakes, answering your questions. And don't forget, you can always Send us those questions.
And I see a nice article in the Leader Telegram this morning about, I believe it's down in Trempealeau County, Whitehall area, where they're using some of the deer, especially the roadkill deer. They get them right now, and they're using it for food pantries, feeding the hungry and things like that. And I think that's good because, if you shoot a deer and you don't want it, food pantries, there are places where you can drop those deer off. They'll process them and take them and make sure that meat doesn't get wasted.
Mm-hmm. Have to check that out.
Yeah, there are different places around that do that, and getting to be more and more all the time. And it's a good program. And you drive down the road in Wisconsin, and we don't pull the deer off the road and into the ditch. And we've talked about this before. At least I have. I think it's the most horrible looking thing to watch these deer rot on the road. The counties and they don't have the funding anymore to pull these deer off the road. And, it used to be, you see pickups driving down the road and the county, they'd have 15 or 20 deer in the back of the pickup, take them out and get rid of them in a dump someplace, but there are ways if you get a deer and, you don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that do.
Yep, definitely. So, all right, Brewers, they will know tonight whether it's going to be tied up before first pitch, because Phillies and Cubs are going to be finishing up this afternoon here. Give me a key player for these final 7 games for the Brewers that has to kind of lead.
Christian Yelich. He's got to get back. He's got to get back in the lineup, and he's got to be a leader. He really does. I think the rest of the guys, you look at Tellez playing well, Hunter Renfroe's playing well, Urias and Adames and even Taylor, and McCutcheon. I think they're there. But Yelich has to be a leader. You got to get, and I think Counsell has to, whatever he can do from the bench to kind of mix it up a little bit when he does get guys on base. And I just, but I think Yelich has to be the catalyst.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with you. It's he's got to stand up and be that dude in these final 7 games.
No question about it.
How about this Mitchell kid too? In his last 11 at bats, 636 with 7 hits.
He's for real. He's the real deal. He's come on here the second half of the season when they called him up, and he's taken advantage of his opportunity. He's fun to watch. He's good in the batter's box.
That speed he has too.
Oh, he's quick. He's fast. But he doesn't, he's a rookie, so he's going to make some rookie mistakes. But he's pretty disciplined at the plate, and I think that's only going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's going to be a regular next year. I think for the Brewers, I'd be surprised if he's not. And so you got Brasso, you got Wong, you got some of these other guys that as spot starters can play a role, and I think they've got a real shot to get in the playoffs now.
Yeah, Hunter Renfroe's been playing well, as you mentioned. 346 in his last 26 at bats too. So all hands on deck here, man.
Yep.
Everybody's got to step up on this thing.
And they're at home.
Yeah.
They're not going to have an anti-crowd. They're going to have people behind them, and that helps when you're playing at home and you got a lot of people cheering for you versus when you're on the road. So it's right in their palm to hold on to it and go get it. It's in the palm of their hands. You got 7 games at home, finish it up strong, and if you win,
if they win 6 out, I was going to say 6,
5 or 6 out of 7.
Yeah. So at least they got to win 5.
Yeah.
So they got to win 3 out of 4 and 2 out of 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because I just can't imagine Philadelphia is not going to step it up.
Mm-hmm. They've been struggling.
They have been
big time.
But I just
and they're all on the road. So
yeah, that's why I say the Brewers have an advantage here. But Yelich has gotta maybe take him out of the leadoff spot again, put him back down, maybe bat him 5th or something like that. Then he's he can be, because you got to recognize Yelich has the ability. If you're the other team, has the ability because he's proven it. He's a made most valuable player in the league. He should have been 2 years in a row, and they gave it to Bellinger for the Dodgers that one year. And you've got to still respect the guy because he's not 30 years old yet.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to respect the guy that he's all of a sudden he could come out of this funk he's in unless he's got injuries that he can't overcome, back, legs, whatever it might be. but he's gotta step it up. He's gotta, as they say, suck it up and get out there.
We're going to be paying attention to that wild card, but what a heck of a series starting tomorrow with the Braves and the Mets in a 3-game series.
Yeah, the Mets are one ahead right now.
Yep, the Mets retook it last night. But, this thing's gone back and forth, and scheduling gods out there are just like, yes, baby.
Who do you think's going to win that?
It's it's in Atlanta this weekend. Ooh, I might go Atlanta now.
Yeah, and I don't know if I can't imagine Scherzer's not in the rotation for this series somewhere, that he's going to be playing. DeGrom, the Mets have the pitching, and really and truly they have the hitting, but I think it's going to be a good series. These Braves are kind of like the Cardinals. They're just perennially there.
Look at this.
Always in the fight.
DeGrom's getting a start on Friday against Fried.
Ooh, that'll be a good one.
Scherzer's getting the start on Saturday against Wright, who's 20-5 this year.
Yep.
This is just that's a playoff series.
Oh man, that's good baseball.
You're a baseball fan, you're gonna love that stuff.
Yep,
so
exactly.
And that's the thing too. Like, you want to talk about how important this thing is, because if you're the Dodgers, you might play the loser of that. Which, is that a good thing? If I'm the Dodgers, I'm like, really?
Because the winner of that gets a bye.
Mm-hmm. They'll get the 2 seed,
but somebody else has to go get the.
Because right now, if the playoffs started today, the 1 seed is the Dodgers, of course. 2 is the Mets. 3 is St. Louis. They would be playing the Phillies. The Padres pretty much have the 5th wild card. They're up a couple games, but it seems like they're there. And it'd be the Braves. So the Dodgers would have to play like the winner of probably the Braves or
the loser of the
the winner between the Padres and the Braves.
Oh yeah.
So it's like Dodgers, like, really? Come on, But I don't know. Cardinals, don't overlook them too, because they're just
always there.
Yep.
They're always there, and and the Padres are up right now, but it's not over. 7 games left. I think the Brewers 2 or 3 behind the Padres.
Yeah.
So I think the Padres have the season series against the Brewers too. So that's like another game that you got to win. So you don't want to finish tied with them because you're out. So the Brewers have to win a minimum of 5, and I think 6 out of 7 is what they really, really have to do.
I think the National League playoffs are going to be pretty fun to watch and pretty tight, because I look at the American League, and no offense to, I know Cleveland's playing well. I would love to see Seattle kind of make a run, just because somebody, or Tampa Bay. The Blue Jays on there too. I would love to see that. But, you got the Yankees and Houston there. They're just powerhouses. Whereas the National League, Dodgers are up there. But, you got the Mets. You can make the case. The Braves going back. St. Louis, we just got done saying. I think the National League playoffs are going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think they are too. But Houston and the Yankees are pretty dominant over on that side.
Yep.
And Houston doesn't get a lot of national play.
No.
Because of what Judge is doing with the Yankees and the Mets and the Braves. Houston is kind of flying under the radar with a really good record. And so I think Houston and New York are prohibitive favorites, the Yankees, in the American League to get to the series to decide the pennant.
Dusty Baker's still looking for his first World Series as a manager too.
Yeah, yep. And he's managed a lot of games.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, but you're right. Houston I feel like they've been just kind of quietly just doing their thing this year.
Yeah, every time you see them on the highlights, well, Houston is now 30 games over 500. What?
Yeah.
You just haven't followed them that close.
102 wins on the season.
Yeah.
So, all right, we got to take our final break here. So last call for any last-minute texts, tweets, Facebook, whatever you got. We'll give you the final updates on the Twitter polls up there. We had 3 questions. So we'll get those final results coming to you after these few words.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
Do you remember the countless times when you were young and playing in the backyard, daydreaming of playing against or with your favorite athlete, or imagining yourself chasing your dreams and experiencing life the way you're supposed to? That's how we came up with a name for Backyard Dreams. Backyard Dreams is WAYY Sports Talk 105.1 790 AM's charitable entity. We have 5 main goals for Backyard Dreams: to provide and promote opportunities for anyone to have a chance to play, to help anyone overcome obstacles to chase their dreams, to help raise awareness for those in need, to help create opportunities for those to enjoy their passions, and to help those enjoy their life and create special memories. It doesn't matter if you are a child, teen, or an adult. Backyard Dreams wants to help anyone. For more information, success stories about Backyard Dreams, and if you know someone who could benefit from Backyard Dreams, just visit sportstalk1051.com and click on the Backyard Dreams tab.
Keep your feet warm and dry this winter with the Shoe Doctor in Eau Claire. Only the Shoe Doctor has over 4,500 styles of footwear and personalized fitting for everyone in your family. It's backed by the Shoe Doctor's exclusive 30-day comfort guarantee, so you know you'll walk away happy. The selection, brands, sizes, widths, service, and prices that fit just right. Come see for yourself at the Shoe Doctor. Easy to find. 2321 Claremont near Fairfax in Eau Claire.
Football season is here, and if you're like me, it's got me thinking about the good old days. Friday night lights, touchdowns, cool fall weather, and those old sports injuries. Let me ask you a quick question. Are you still dealing with some pain from those old sports injuries? Is that pain still bothering you today? Let's change that. Start living that pain-free life. And you can accomplish that with the help from Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. To start living that pain-free life today, visit cvosm.com to get started.
This update sponsored by UW Credit Union. For every stage of life, UW Credit Union is here for every you. Introducing Brewers Unfiltered, a brand new podcast covering all things Brewers baseball. Hear from the experts weekly as they deliver news, analysis, and more. Find the latest episode today at brewers.com/unfiltered. Join UW Credit Union at uwcu.org.
Get organized with help from Menards and Dakota Shelving. Whether you need a spot for extra storage or want to add an accent to your living space, Dakota has the shelf for you. With a variety of attractive finishes, your shelves are guaranteed to match your style. Save 11% on all Dakota Shelving. Good through October 2nd. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Whether it's the news, the traffic, the weather, or your COVID-19 vaccinations, it's important to stay up to date. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Was your business hurt in the years of the pandemic? Have you had a decline in revenue since 2019? Was your business partly or fully shut down by the government? If you answered yes to any of these questions and have 5 employees or more, you may be eligible to receive up to $26,000 per employee by taking advantage of the Employee Retention Tax Credit, a fully funded tax credit created to help businesses during these difficult times. The experts at Benchmark Human Capital are ready to help you get the money you are owed. Call 800-535-ERTC, 800-535-3782.
He may not be the smartest sports talk host, but darn it, he gives 110% every time. Now here's your host, Dan Kasper.
All right, you ready for some final results on these questions?
Yeah, let's see how many of these cheaters are still voting to not recognize Aaron Judge if he hits another home run.
Well, the first question, would you pay some moolah to attend a game where you weren't a fan of either team? We were kind of talking about with the potential of Tampa Bay and Kansas City over there in Minnesota. 65% of you saying yes, you would.
I think a lot of that is maybe not Kansas City and Tampa. I think a lot of it's bucket list type things.
Mm-hmm.
I'd pay to go watch the Red Sox play whoever.
That's a good point too.
At Fenway Park. I think some people are looking at it like that.
That's a good point. Kind of doing the stadium tour sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yep. That's a good point. Another question we had on here, a little bit closer. Do you still, quote, fear or get nervous about a Bill Belichick coach team? This has flipped since we last talked about it. It is now 52.4% of you say, no, you do not. And then if Aaron Judge hits 62, do you personally recognize him as the single season record holder? 50-50 is 50% for each one. And this one has gotten the most votes.
And I'm not surprised at that because, it is what it is. Fans are fickle, and it's what you feel.
Mm-hmm. So that one has gotten our most votes too. So this has gone back and forth, up and down, that sort of thing. And yeah, I'll let you know. It's going to be up for a few more hours, so we'll see what the final tally is.
That'll be interesting to see how it works.
I did forget this one, September 29th, 1983, for some sports nuggets. Johnny Bench made his final appearance in a major league game during the Reds' last home game of the season. He entered as a pinch hitter and drove in a pair with a single before being lifted for a pinch runner. Johnny Bench.
Yep. Well, greatest catchers of all time. No.
So you played catcher.
Yep.
Did you emulate anybody when you played catcher growing up, or not really, or did?
No. Because I'm 6'5". There aren't a lot of guys that are 6'5" that are catchers.
Right. So what drove you to play catcher? Coach told you?
I just wanted to be in on the action, and I had a pretty good throwing arm, and I was comfortable back there, and I just matured into it and enjoyed it.
Was there a favorite catcher that you used to enjoy watching, even if you got a little older or anything like that?
Well, Johnny Bench was about my age. Johnny Bench and I are about the same age, and I always just loved to watch him. He was so quick throwing guys out, had such a strong, accurate arm, and so good behind the plate, and just solid. He was always there. He's a lot like Molina for the Cardinals now. Just a long career, and when you get all done, it's been a great career. I mean, Bench and Molina have been recognized for how good they are and great they are during their careers, but really steady, dependable players.
This was a receiver defer question I was going to ask you, but we ran out of time. So Clay Matthews was kind of doing some of the media rounds, some promotional stuff, and kind of talked about his career's done. It's like an unofficial retirement, but he hasn't played since 2019. So he's talking like it. He said that he's kind of enjoying now just smoking some fatty meats and having a beer on a game day, like the rest of us. But receiver defer, is he a top 10 Packers defender of all time?
Boy,
you want my list to help you out?
Yeah. I look at him and it's hard to say because I don't think his career was long enough.
Yeah.
Who's your list?
Reggie. I cheated. They're all Pro Football Hall of Famers. I'll admit it. Reggie, Ray Nitschke, Herb Adderley, Willie Davis, Willie Wood, Henry Jordan, Dave Robinson, Charles Woodson, Leroy Butler, Bobby Dillon.
Yeah, not a bad group, that's for sure.
I cheated, but I give a little bit more to Pro Football Hall of Famers.
Oh, absolutely. You have to.
That played more than a year.
There's a reason they're in the Pro Bowl Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that played more than a year or two with that team.
Yeah. So. No, that's a good group. But I think Matthews was kind of a victim of circumstances too.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden he didn't have anybody around him.
I know. Like you just kind of wonder, like if he would have just had help.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. He got, people say, well, he never played. Well, you look at his record, he played an awful lot of games, more than I think a lot of people appreciate. I mean, he had A.J. Hawk, who was the 5th overall pick, and
you look at his outside. He won a Super Bowl with Frank Zombo and Eric Walden on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't think he got enough credit for what he did with the people he had around him. And I just, they wanted him to do too much, and he just didn't have any help. He's kind of like Kenny Clark on that defensive line now. Where's the help? Who else are going to double team? If you don't double team Kenny Clark, he can really upset your offense. You don't double team Lowry, what's he going to do? He's not going to do anything. So I think Kenny Clark is also kind of in that same boat. They're definitely Packer Hall of Famers.
Right.
But Kenny Clark, I think, is being deprived of a chance to be beyond that because they really haven't gotten him any help.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Prediction for the weekend for Packers Patriots. You gonna ride with Green Bay?
Oh yeah.
This one?
Yep. Yep.
Confident?
Yep.
Feeling good about it?
I'm gonna be over there.
You're going to the game?
You bet.
Look at you.
Yeah. It's not a
Fancy
preseason, so I'm going to the game.
Oh, my bad. You know. Hall of Famer over there. You know.
we're going to the game. We're gonna go see the game.
So, well, good deal.
My one game a year.
Tell Bill I said hi.
Oh golly, I will. I take my glasses along, my field glasses, and I like to watch the coaches on the other team. And you know, it's to the point now where the coaches on the other team don't coach a lot of the game that you see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with the headphones on, they're in contact with the other coaches that, you know, you don't see them face to face with the other coaches giving them direction. But I'm sure that Belichick has given a lot of people a lot of direction over the headsets that the average fan isn't aware of.
Right, man.
So, but it's.
I would love to just listen to some of that conversation on there.
So would I.
You know, just like what's kind of being chatted about and what's being said, and you know, I don't know. I think that'd be kind of.
And from those guys being able to make those observations from the sidelines, because you know, you've been on the sidelines, you don't get the best look at the game. You know, people in the stands can see all this stuff. The coaches on the sidelines can't see that. That's why they got the headphones on. You know, they can ask them what happened here, or why did this guy not open, or whatever. And the guys in the press box can tell them, and then they've got to make really quick decisions. So you'd love to hear some of those conversations. I agree with you.
Yep, I totally agree. So, plus, I would like to know what Aaron saw, even though he downplayed it. I don't know if you heard that comment.
No.
So it was a thing all week, but after the game, he said that he saw something on the jumbotron that the Buccaneers shouldn't have showed. He downplayed it. He
having to
really
do with the time, with the fact that, you know, the touchdown play, he said the clock had run out as well.
Well, he said he noticed something. It wasn't necessarily the clock. He noticed something that he relayed to Matt LaFleur, and maybe Matt LaFleur relayed it to Joe Barry, like he noticed something, but he downplayed it and said it wasn't. The 2-pointer was earlier, and a little bit earlier, a few plays earlier. So,
but
I think it got overreacted a little bit.
Well, I heard that they had watched in the play before that. They let the officials know that, hey, the game clock, they ran that play after the clock ran out. So then they watched it on the
that second one was more obvious. I mean, the first one they've always said too. It's like, okay, once it hits 0, then the official has to look up and see if it's snapped or anything. So there's always like that extra second.
Yeah, and I wasn't watching the game at the time, so I didn't see it. But yeah, it's you know, it's a split second deal.
I'm giving my, you know what? I'll give my happy hour or Thirsty Thursday shout out to Jonathan Taylor for showing up to work and practice every single day since high school. How about that?
That's
and David Bakhtiari for making his appearance on Sunday,
well,
getting back on the field.
30 snaps, didn't he?
Over half of them, yep.
Yeah, that's good to see, and looks like he came out of it.
He wasn't supposed to practice yesterday, Matt LaFleur said, but what did he do? He'd practiced. So
well, good for him, and I'm sure they made sure he didn't get in any skirmishes or any piles where somebody could roll up on his knee. So
yeah, that's you're just kind of cringing. Like I was watching some of those plays, like especially the running plays. It's like, okay, nobody hit him from behind or anything like that, or nobody trip him or anything. So fingers crossed, everything's good. So all right, Badgers, your prediction?
They'll beat Illinois.
They'll beat Illinois by 10. 7?
I was going to say
double digits,
between 7 and 10 points.
Okay. All right. So, and you're going to that too. Look,
I'm going to that too.
Life of Bob Bosold.
It's a good life.
I was going to say, what are you still doing here? I mean, you're just so. Well, you travel safe and enjoy the games.
All right.
Bring back some W's though.
I hope we bring back 2.
Yeah, a couple of them, and then send some positive vibes to the Brewers too. So.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right, DP and the Danettes, they're up next. You guys have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. We'll finish up the week tomorrow, just past 6. Talk to you then.
You're listening to the Dan Patrick Show on WAYY Eau Claire.